and you're muted automatically. So you have to unmute. I looked up that Emerald whatever casino. I couldn't
Emerald Queen, yeah, you'll never get in there.
I couldn't see a event center with that much square footage.
They have a
We
concert in there like every week.
we tried to have a long time ago. We tried to have Western BCA tried to have a casino tour, and Emerald Queen Casino was one of the casinos that we tried to use, and it did not work out.
No, they make too much money off those quick 1-day concerts and stuff.
Yep, that's true.
I just wish people would quit going on Facebook and go, man, we got to move our event to another place because that doesn't look good to the event that's been supporting the hell out of you.
Yep.
You know, it just there's other options. You don't need to move. You could do other events to thin the herd if you needed, or there's so many things you could do. But the talk of moving the events you have at Chinook Winds is just trouble. Eventually they'll get tired of that. I hate it when people do that.
Well, what I worry about is all of a sudden the casino getting on Facebook. I don't know whether they do or not, but all of a sudden seeing that stuff, and one of these days just pulling the plug and you guys are out of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's very likely possibility.
Well, I don't know about the Northwest, but I know in the Midwest, the Indian casinos talk to each other.
Oh
Nikki
yeah.
101. Probably still a bit.
Well, somebody want to start with a question, or it doesn't have to be pool related. We'll talk about anything.
Rick, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I guess as long as we're talking about the casino, you travel around the country. How common is it for a casino to be adding this kind of money and donating this kind of space to a league or a pool tournament? Is that something you see commonly, or is that unusual?
Some casino. Well, I mean, there's a few casinos out there that are doing it. I don't think they're adding the kind of money you guys are getting, but I'm not real sure on what you're getting, right? But probably just like you guys, no casino is going to just do that right out of the gate either, right?
Right.
You're gonna have to build your event and prove that you're worthy and stick around and show the growth, and then they'll start adding more and more and doing more for you. But the minute you step away from a casino, right? If you have an established event that's really good, like the Western BCA, the worst thing you could do is take one of your events and move it, because then what casino is going to trust you? If we don't give them exactly what they want, they're just going to leave. So why invest?
Yeah, there's no way we're walking away from Lincoln City.
Right? Yeah, it's just I hate it when people start talking about moving and then just
it's because people don't know exactly what we get. That's something that I don't know if Chinook Winds has asked us to not advertise, but maybe that's something that at a membership meeting we talk about. People can be more informed on everything that we get, because it's a lot.
Right. Yeah, no. Well, I'm a firm believer in people being transparent, because and obviously the casino might not want you to be that transparent, but maybe they do. I mean, I can't imagine why they wouldn't want you guys to tell all the players, hey, this is what Chinook Winds gives us, because then they could go around and brag instead of acting like they want to move the event, right?
but they also have other events that they don't give that to.
Right. I mean, certain details they may want you to leave out, but yeah, I mean, the players need to understand it's not so easy just to move an event into another casino just because you think this one's not big enough or it's not centrally located for you. It's not like that.
Right.
I wish, man, I'd have a tournament in every town. Yeah, right. Just like, hey. All right. So we got enough people on here. Let's talk pool. What do you guys want to talk about?
Feel free to ask questions in the chat too. That way, when everybody starts getting quiet, I can bring them up.
There you go.
I wanted, excuse me. I wanted to expound a little bit on something that Mike Dykeman said. I'd say probably around 5 or 6 years ago. Chris Rogers' wife had walked into the marketing guy's office down there at Chinook Winds, and she went in and basically turned around and said, "The women's tour would like to find out what you can do for us." And the marketing guy turned around and told her at the time, "I'm more interested in what you can do for me, because, as you know, the women's tour wasn't doing all that great. They were drawing in some, but not that much." And it wasn't too long after Chris Rogers' wife had that conversation with the marketing guy that the women's tour folded.
Right. Well, I mean, when you go to a casino or event center, any of those kind of places, yeah, going to them and going, "What can you do for me?" is you.
I have some input on that since I started the women's tour. Way back when I was the founder of the ACW, the Association of Q Sports for Women, and I handed over turnkey to and they renamed it the Northwest Women's Pool Tour, and to Tamray and Vic, this one guy. And I had scripts, I had everything. And one of our previous board members had said, I had tasked her with writing a letter for sponsorship to Nike. And she emailed it to me, and it was horrible. It was like, "What can you do for me?" That kind of thing. And
Right.
I said, you have to list benefits. What are they getting? They have 14 women that have shot on the pro tour. They have this. We can bring in people. We can, do all this. And so I ended up having to rewrite everything. And I thought that since Tamray was, kind of schooled on that, that story kind of appalls me. But then because of what she did with the amateur nationals, and she had all the paperwork and stuff that I had drawn up, and they asked her to be on the board of the WPBA. So, I mean, I have to say that I don't think it ever folded. I think they've just carried it on. And then once Tamray was gone, then a new board took over. And then it's been thriving ever since then. But don't badmouth my baby. What I'm saying. I don't think it ever stopped.
Yeah, well, when you go into a casino, you got to sell them, not have them sell you. I think that's
Exactly.
where a lot of promoters make the mistake, is they go in and go, "What can you do for me?"
Yeah. If you're in sales, there's a difference between, advantages and benefits, features and benefits. You've got to sell the sizzle, so
Yeah, you got to make them want to talk to you, right? Hey,
absolutely.
what?
Yeah, it is always, what can I do for you, not what you can do for me.
Yeah.
And
Don't get
goes.
me wrong. I wasn't trying to badmouth the situation or anything like that. I just remember it the way it was told to me by Chris, and he was, everybody was pretty much disappointed because, the Chinook Winds had taken care of him for a real long time.
Yeah.
So And when something like that happens, when you've got a venue that you've been with for a really long time, it hurts when something like that turns around and happens.
Well, and I think it also goes to show how easy it can be to lose something.
Yeah.
You know, if that was, you know, one of the contributing factors, that is how easy it is to lose something really good.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I keep saying I wish players would quit going on Facebook and going, oh, we need to move this event, because what happens if Western or Chinook Winds goes through a tough time, right? And they have to cut something. You know, if you got a group of people that keep going, hey, let's move the event. Well, you know, if we got to cut something, let's cut the ones that are being negative. So,
Right. And, you know, so just so everybody knows, you know, while we have dates, you know, committed dates on our website for, you know, our tournaments, we do a contract every tournament. So we don't have a 4-year contract with Chinook Winds for, you know, 8 events. We now have to go renegotiate our contract for the next event. Every event we do that. So any, you know, at any given time, it's really easy for them to say no.
right. Yep.
Do we have, Jackson, do we have a placeholder on those dates? We just started negotiating the terms. Is that how that works?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Are you driving, Nikki?
Yes,
Focus on driving, please.
I am.
In a quarter mile, turn left.
Right turn now.
Uh, Michelle in the chat wants to know what happened to the women's division and why there isn't one anymore.
For Western BCA?
I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, I'm not see, this is funny to me because for some reason we get the blame for
Well,
all the divisions that the Western BCA have
No,
now. Like,
no blame being thrown. They're just, you
no,
know.
no. I'm just saying. I've
compliment.
heard this, right? Like, Bad
Oh, yeah.
Boys has got us playing this way and that way.
Yeah.
Ray Cunningham called me one night and said, "Hey, we are thinking we want to switch to Fargo, and you know, we want to see how that would work." So I immediately started looking at all the numbers, all the players, and basically just said, look, you know, I mean, if you're going Fargo, to me, it seems like everything should be divided into skill level.
Hey, Rick,
Yes.
it's Michelle. Hey, that wasn't the question. My question was, why can't we restart another women's division at the coast? Is that a possibility?
Why not?
That's all. That's what my question was.
Yeah, no,
I
for
wasn't
Bad
blaming
Boys,
anybody.
I
I
don't-
was just asking why we couldn't restart one.
There's no reason. I mean, it's
Right?
it's,
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
for me, it's all about
I'll-
skill. You know, whatever Western BCA wants to run as a tournament,
Right.
and then us coming back to them and going, okay, this is what will fit, this is what won't fit,
Exactly. That's
and
yeah.
that's it. I don't.
You guys
care.
do awesome at that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
you got.
I
Go ahead.
I think to answer that more specifically, Michelle, it really needs to be, you know, put into an agenda item and put a vote forward for the membership. That's all it is. And I mean, I think it's been attempted a couple times and voted down, but
It has been voted down a couple of times.
right.
So, Michelle, my question to you would be, why would you want a women's division? Or if women went solo again, what is your vision of that? Because the skill level from the best woman to the weakest woman is a huge skill level difference.
Right?
So then if you try to divide by skill level, there's not going to be that many women in each division. So, I mean,
Okay, what if we did it like a fun, well, we've already got Queen of the Hill. I was trying to think because women's teams was so much fun, you guys. Oh my gosh. it was a blast. So it's not necessarily about the money or the competitiveness, just getting more players to the casino.
Well, we
Again,
had
like
an
we asked.
all-women's team in the gold division this time, and we had a blast.
Yeah,
And
can
you
I
guys
speak to that?
finished like third, right?
Yeah, we got third place, and and to that point, I never played another woman, but I heard that there were a couple other women on other teams, but our whole team was women.
My team
Can I-
is too. We have a women's team. We just, because of health issues and a couple
Right.
players couldn't play this time, but we'll be back for
Well,
9 ball. But we've been
I
Can I
playing
never-
in
speak
the
to that for a
open.
minute?
When we've
Can I
talked
speak to
about
that for a
this,
minute?
oh yeah,
It's I just from my perspective, I was involved in some of those decisions back in the day. To me, it comes down to payouts. There's just not, like what Rick was saying, there's not enough people to make a division, and what you end up with is really small divisions. And then the problem with that is the first place team gets $112, and then people are really mad that they went down there to the beach for a week to play teams and they won and they got $112. So I mean, it's just the number of people equals really payouts. Payouts is always the answer to something like that, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Right.
And
That is, I mean, that's kind
And
of the
most-
point of going to state, right? Get to play and make some more money.
Well, for me, it's never about the money. So for me, it's about a division just being big enough and being competitive, right? I don't want to diss the money, right? Because some people care about the money, but for a tournament like this, to me, this is like a hobby for most people.
Exactly.
So even if you win, you got a hard chance of making back the money you spend if you're there for the 10 days.
Right.
But to me, I always look at it this way. So I've just changed all the events we're doing that we have control over. We got rid of the women's divisions. I'm going to get some heat for it. But the problem is like in Texas, I go to Texas and I get 21 women or maybe 40 women. And then they complain the whole time because there's not enough in my division, or there's, why can't we just play our event in one day? It's like, okay, but you're not the only people in the room. I'm like, why don't you play with the guys so you can have a bigger division? And I don't have the definite data to prove this, but I've watched women get better when they play the guys.
Oh,
It's like
absolutely.
if you go
I
talk
agree
to
with
all the
that.
pro women,
I agree with that 100%. I've done it.
right? So if you go talk to the pro women, most of them will tell you, well, we're not as strong as the guys because we don't play all the guy games, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see, well, I mean, this year I think kind of proved it. You had a woman win the silver one and a woman win the gold.
Which is awesome.
It's phenomenally awesome to me. So I think it's just, yeah, if I was Western BCA, I don't know, I'd have Yukon Cornelius on a poster
Right?
with the silver woman and the gold woman, and
Exactly.
I'd be strutting that info out there because it is pretty awesome.
And mostly why I ask is because I am a player rep for Cherry City BCA. And so I have all these players who come and say, why don't we, what happened in the women's division? And instead of trying to get into a long drawn out thing, it's like, listen, this is A, B, and C. I try to keep it simple for them. So that's
What
why
I'd like to see the Western BCA do, if they can do it, I don't know if they can, but find another location that we could go,
like the Wild Horse,
do
right?
some small events where we can play with these other options, right?
And
Okay.
see what happens.
location, not a replacement location, and
No,
addition.
new
No. We're
location.
talking an
A
addition.
third location.
Yeah, Tracy had brought up wanting to run just like a women's, just do a girls tournament over a weekend, not a week long thing, just a weekend, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning type thing. And like the Wild Horse, a small venue where they only have room for, 40 tables, 32
Right.
tables, something like that. And maybe use that as an option. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this
So-
is about, right? Tossing out ideas and calling out the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah, I think ideas are great. I think anybody that's willing to step up and help figure this out, all the costs and all that stuff to figure out if it can actually
Right.
be reality. That's
Has
the
anybody,
tough part.
do we know what they charge, what they would charge? Because I know of a bowling tournament. There's a state bowling tournament that they have at the Wild Horse, and they give them their tournament room for free, kind of like Lincoln City does for us. So I'm wondering if they would extend the same courtesy to WBCA.
Is
I
that they
think-
give them the room free now because they've been there for a few years and shown that it's bringing people in? Or did they
I
get that
believe so.
first
I
because-
believe that is correct. I
Most
believe that they
places-
held it there for a couple years, and
Right.
now I think now they're on their fourth or fifth
Right.
year.
Yeah, you have to prove that you're beneficial to them.
Okay.
before You get the room free.
Well,
Right.
Jackson, let me ask
Yep.
you, so did you guys vote in the extra $5 per entry thing or whatever?
Yes.
For the admin fee, yes.
So let me ask you this, and this I'm just throwing this out there because you guys are very unique across the country. But if you guys bumped your membership up $5,
That's hey,
I
stop.
said that too.
Ah.
and
That
hold on, I'm not done. And took that $5 and dedicated it to trying other events and
okay, so yeah,
being able to do events in other places would be pretty nice for your players too.
for sure, absolutely. And I think so that's in the works. I don't think I'm gonna get it on the agenda for next trip just because there's so much that's gonna go into the detail and all that. But for everybody on the call, my gut is it's gonna be a $10 increase. And that's what's actually going to help us make the difference for other events. It's not going to be 5. It's going to have to be 10. But that is my goal, is to increase that to help us do other things, whether it's other tournaments or more at our current tournaments. Obviously there is a lot of conversations around a third tournament, and there has been for a lot of years. I think Julie, Mike, you guys, I think were involved in Wild Horse in 2021, I think, something like that. So
Definitely.
these conversations have been happening for a long time, and we want to make it work. It's just we have to financially figure out how to make it work, and that is a very difficult piece of this. And with our current financial status, we can't do it on the back of the membership. It would have to be more of a player, more of an entry fee, admin fee type of thing that carried it, which makes it that much more difficult for people to swallow. Or a sponsor, you're right. So, a lot of things that we're looking at, or I'm trying to look at and put the data on paper to be able to show everybody, and what, give some of the ideas of what we can do with that money.
Does anybody know what happened with the tentative agreement we had with Wild Horse pre-COVID to have another tournament there?
I have heard nothing. I have no idea.
I mean, that was the thing,
Darren.
right?
I thought it was Darren that was.
Well, the
That's why
tournament
we
was
had to do
canceled
the
because of
tournament
COVID.
4 years ago. What's that?
Can I say something? This is Tammy
Hey,
Undervick.
Tammy.
Hey, so just to let you know, as far as Bill Henderson and I had a meeting at Wild Horse with them, couple of years prior to the pandemic. And then we had the one actual meeting there, membership meeting there. However, we actually have had an agreement there. I believe it was right before the pandemic.
Yes.
And that we were going to actually have an event like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, focused on I think 10 ball was the plan. And then all of a sudden they started doing some more building. They were building a second tower and building another bigger convention area versus the 2 smaller rooms that we originally would have had an event in. And so then it's been postponed till they got so far on that stuff. But there's the
Gotcha.
update.
A quick
So
question for
Awesome.
we
Rick.
did have our foot in the door. Tammy, do you feel like we still have our foot in the door a little bit with them?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know how much that they've done as far. It's been a while since I've been down there myself. So,
Sure. But they did have the two smaller rooms that we had planned on doing something with.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that seems worth pursuing.
I think so.
Oh.
I mean, for what my say counts.
Question for Rick.
Yeah.
So is there a guideline as far as how much room we actually need for one of these other tournaments? Like I know that the room at Chinook Winds is a certain size. What do you need for a base to have?
What you need is 250 square foot per pool table.
Okay.
And
250.
then, your vendors and that stuff's extra. But yeah, if you do your math off of 250 square foot per pool table, that usually will take care of the basic minimums of setting up a tournament.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have one more
And
question and then I'll be
Rick,
done.
how many tables fit on a truck?
40 go on a truck.
So in a perfect world, we'd want a 40 table tournament minimum.
Yeah, I mean,
perfect world.
so originally, like the greatest thing about having a 40 table tournament is if you could run the tournament on 32 and then you have 8 for minis and practice all day long. That usually keeps a 40 table tournament pretty happy. Because when players aren't playing matches, they want to either jump into a mini or whatever.
And how many players could attend a 40 table tournament?
Depends on how many days.
Like a 4-day event.
4-day event, you could probably get away with 400 players total. 400 entries probably. Just depends on what you're doing and how long the
You
race
guys,
is.
that's huge because Wild Horse is giving those 2 rooms that we were talking about. The bowling league does their state, they have maybe 200 players total. And they're getting it for free. So if they're generating enough revenue with 200 bowlers, I think we have a leg to stand on with 400 pool players.
So here, I'm gonna give you guys a bonus thing. At the Western BCA at the next event, get somebody to give you a cue or something to give away. And then tell everybody that spends any money in the casino to bring you the receipt, put their name on the back of it, drop it in a box for a raffle. Because then you'll know how much money your players are spending in that casino. And you can do the math. So when you go to a casino to negotiate, you can go, look, with this many players, this is how much money we spent just on food and hotels, right? You don't even have to track the gambling because the casino should give you a good idea on that, but sometimes they
Right.
don't like to tell you that. But the food in the hotel rooms are huge for casinos too. Like we used to do the bar
Absolutely.
table in Reno, and at the Sands, the players spent 25,000 just on food and
Wow.
beer.
Isn't that's insane?
So it's a good way to get some numbers that you can throw at a casino.
I wanted to ask Jackson a question. When you were speaking earlier, you were talking about, not wanting to put price increases on the backs of the players. And my question to you is that when we increase membership fees and stuff like that, aren't we kind of doing the same thing?
No, what I was saying is what I guess what I meant to say was the players of that specific tournament, because
Okay.
it's not feasible for 200 or 400 players to pay for an entire tournament, right? It just
Right.
The results are going to be pretty negative when you don't have any money to pay back, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I get
So
that.
that's kind of what I was meaning. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question about the green room at Lincoln City. Can we get that back for pool players instead of training refs?
That's not that's
So The casino is not giving us that room.
Oh,
So they want to use that for storage and are you talking with the one with the two pool
I'm talking
tables?
about the one they had a pool table in there that they were training the CSI refs on.
Two, yeah, there were
Yeah,
two.
so
tables
yeah,
in there,
there's
actually.
there's two tables in there and there used to be 6 in that whole area, but the casino took back one of those rooms and so we only have that space for it.
Yeah, I think she wants to know if because the referees took what 3 of the days, 3 or 4 of the days.
It was
didn't they?
2 days.
Yeah.
It was Saturday,
Was it 2
Sunday.
days?
They were out of there on Monday because we had the Steyers there for the rest of the week because they needed a place to be because it was last minute and that's how we found out they were coming. So
Yeah, no comment there.
You know, if you guys don't mind talking a little bit about that. So we had to just scramble and figure out something to do with them last minute. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that that turned out well like that? Or do you think we should do it differently if something like that ever happens again?
I think anything last minute comes off unprofessional and shouldn't be done that way because it made us all kind of have to scramble.
and I agree with that, Kobe. I think the problem is that we found out they were there. So then how do you admit it? You just tell them no, like too bad, sorry for you.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I think you guys did the best with what you could. It's just, yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely don't do it that way again.
Well, and the communication's open with them now, so we know who to talk to and how to get all that stuff involved. And so when they come back next spring, everything will be more arranged and a little better for everybody.
Right. Well,
The
and
big-
I don't know
biggest
what
thing will
caused
be,
it, but
what are they wanting? Because there's already barely enough tables for the matches we have. So if they're wanting tables in the main room, man, that's a major ask. And that almost needs to be a table in a vendor space off on the side because there just aren't any tables that we can let go of to put them in the main room. We need those for all the matches.
Yeah,
And
and
really more.
totally understand all that, Kobe. I totally do. I totally get it.
yeah,
I
no,
think
and for us, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt again. So were there matches scheduled in that room with 2 tables before we said, hey, we need that? And you guys
No,
just jumped? Okay.
no. However, because we didn't know, so normally we try to leave at least 2 tables for whatever reasons, right? Backed up matches or whatever. But we knew that we had the 2 tables that would go across the hall, and we just wouldn't have them for the ref days. And then I guess you guys had planned a couple of meetings over there. So we went ahead and booked all the tables on the busy days. So when things did back up, we had nowhere to send. We didn't have the extra couple of tables to send them. Not that it was that big of a deal. It's just it would be nice to, not do it that way again. It's good to have the extra tables.
I know that there were matches that got scheduled there because we were behind and you guys used those tables to get caught up. And we told both of them that, hey, as long as there's no matches going on here because it's last minute, you guys can go over there and do your thing. So
yeah, it's just tough once they started doing their thing. You don't want to move a match over on top of them, right? So, but it wasn't that big of a deal this time. But I think a lot of people are missing something. When you guys go back to good dates where an Airbnb is half the price it is now, I think your numbers are going to go back up and everything has to be way more organized for the 8 ball because it will be really close to overload.
Elaine wants to say something.
Yeah, did I turn the volume up? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks. So I totally think they should have given notice. But I will say that a lot of people were really excited that they were there, super excited. And a couple people were like, is that the real Tyler Steyer? It's like, yes, that's the real guy. So I think something like that, if we could schedule it, and I don't know if they paid a vendor fee, I have no idea, If we could schedule somebody like that again, obviously you don't have to go with them, but I think that was really pretty cool. And I did ask them, because I made the signs for them, and I did ask them, can they cut it back a little bit in case we needed the tables? And they did only go down to 3 hours instead of, I think it was 5 hours or something. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, people were really, they liked it, for what that's worth. But I do believe
I had
they
asked,
should have
and I was
called in
told they did pay a
advance.
vendor fee, so that's cool.
They what?
I did hear that they paid a vendor fee, just by the way.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah. But I think, it's wrong to just show up. And I don't think it was them. I think he was running with his bud, And
And
anyway,
I think
I'll
it's
add to that.
it just happened and you figure out where to go from here. I mean, obviously we do it better next time with better preparation.
Somebody want to tell Chris Nordin how to raise his hand on the app
No,
or let him speak?
he's muted.
I'm just trying not to interrupt somebody. So Rick did mention that we're gonna grow a little bit. So what are we gonna do to circumvent the tournament running so far behind? I know it's not your guys' fault, but we have to do something to anticipate the influx of players when the rates and everything do get more favorable to the tournament. So what are some of your suggestions, Rick, so we don't have any like detours or backlash
Right.
or stuff like that?
So in the 8-ball, there are a few divisions where the race is just too long. For most of it, really we just have to deal with the slow play. Right. And part of that problem is we need to communicate to the players and go, look, in Scotch doubles, your coaching and shot have to happen in 45 seconds. In the singles, we have to say, look, players, if you guys are playing too slow, you have to let us know. The referees have to engage in the matches. They have to be able to at least, they're the ones patrolling the floor. So they have to at the very least, walk through and go, hey guys, this match on table 12 is only 1-0. And then we could send somebody to watch and time the match. If they're taking too long to shoot, then we got to put them on the clock. You have to give them a warning, something. If it's delayed progress, if that person goes out and goes, okay, well, yeah, they're not taking 45 seconds to shot. They're doing it in 30. They just ain't making any balls. Then the referee needs to go over there and go, look, if you guys don't get a certain amount of games done by this time, we have to shorten the race. And this all has to be done early in the match. A referee can't call me and go, hey, it's 2-0, and they've been playing for an hour. Now it's too late. I mean, no matter what steps we take at that point, they're still going to run way behind, even if we shorten the race and put them on the clock. But people need to identify what is holding the match up. And we all need to be on the same page when we deal with it. That's why, I'm getting some slack because I pushed Sam Rabito to answer my questions on Facebook. But the problem is he made the statement. He is a high-end representative of the Western BCA. The referees think he's up high. The players, he's been around. He's done a lot for the Western BCA. So when he says something, they take that as a word of an authority. So now we got people telling me, well, the ref said they don't put them on the clock. It's the finals. You don't touch the finals. You don't do this. You don't do that. We have to be on the same page. If that's what you want to rule, if the Western BCA goes, yeah, we're not going to mess with the finals. Okay, then that's your decision, but we all need to be on the same page, whatever it is. Right now, I don't think the refs are on the same page with Western BCA and clearly not on the same page with Bad Boys. We have to fix that. We fix that, we can fix this problem.
No.
And some matches, we're just going to have to tell people, look, platinum players can't go to 7. They just can't. It's never happened in the life of pool. Pool, I used to run the US bar table, which was on 7 foots. The greatest players on the planet come and play in that event. 8-ball was raced to 5. We had matches late with best players in the world. 90 minutes, race to 5. They go late. 9-ball was raced to 9. Some of those matches would go late. 10-ball was raced to 7. Some of those matches would go late. I don't know why. Western BCA thinks they're better players can go to a race to 7 and 8 ball or a race to 6 and 8 ball. It just doesn't fit. We've proven it over and over and over. So let's fix that. Let's fix the referees, and the players are responsible too. Too many players don't want to call somebody over and go, my opponent is shooting slow. Okay, if the players don't get involved, eventually we're just going to have to shorten your race. I don't want to. I want you guys to race as long as you want to race. We could add days. I don't care. But we don't want the tournament to be miserable for everybody because y'all ain't getting it done in the time that we have.
Well, we have to have a policy in place, and right now it doesn't seem like we have any sort of a real policy for it. We've got to get on board and work that out.
Right, right. Yeah, no, and that's what I mean when I say we're not on the same page, because I've written policies for CSI, and clearly they're not using those anymore. So, you know, we can fix it. We can write policies. We can help with that. We just all got to get on the agree to do it.
So would that be the only division you would change the races in? Would be the platinum division and the long race there?
I'd go back and look, but yeah, I think look, in 8 ball, if your match has to be done in 90 minutes, it can't be more than a race to 5. I don't care what division it is. If it's Scotch doubles, race to 4 in 90 minutes is pushing it. I mean, I would love to give you guys 2 hours a match, but it doesn't fit.
And as a professional, I'm trusting that that is your professional opinion. Like you've seen it over and over again. This is what you would recommend.
I've done a ton of data. I look, I want the tournament to run so smooth people don't even know there's an issue on anything. So yeah, we've done our homework on it. We've looked at data. I don't want to change the game, which was what I think CSI is doing with their procedures, and I don't like it. But you know, if that's what you guys
Nobody wants to
do,
decide a championship by a leg. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Oh no. I mean, if you guys start lagging for games to decide who's winning, I really don't want to run the event because I don't want to be associated with that. That's just my personal feelings. It's just, I mean, we'll do it for you if that's what you want to do. I just think it's a very, very bad direction to go.
Because I think when you say shorten the races, everybody thinks it's going to be their division. We're now going to go silver race to 4, bronze race to 2, and people don't want to spend that kind of money to be out in 24 hours.
Well, I mean, some of them are going to be out in 24 hours anyway, just because of the amount of numbers. But yeah, no, look, for us to run a really smooth tournament for the size that your guys' tournament is on the tables that we have, we really need each division, Scotch and singles, to run in 90-minute windows. Unless you guys want to limit the size of your divisions.
Which nobody wants to. So is the CSI other option of decreasing the wait time of 15 minutes down to 10? Would that help us, or 5 or whatever for forfeiture? You don't think that plays into the factor at all?
No, because if you look at their data and see, I get in trouble for that too. I get in trouble for looking at their data too and saying something about it and calling them out on it. The 15 minutes, right? He gave you the numbers. So the match is averaged. I don't have it in front of me, but whatever time per match, which is basically 8 ball averages almost 10 minutes per game. And when I say 10 minutes per game, that's you go play your race to 9, you bring us a score sheet and we score it. That's if it goes hill. So it's basically 10 minutes a game. 9 ball, I think, is 7 to 7.5, 8 minutes a game. And 10 ball is usually about 8.5 to 9 minutes per game. So when you schedule a tournament, you have to schedule it as if every match is going to go hill. Because you'll have some matches will run long and some matches will finish faster. That allows us to play as event directors. I don't know if I want to use the word tournament director anymore, but as event directors, where you got all these things overlapping, those matches that run fast give us little windows that we can move people to another table. I would rather do that than go, okay, you guys are just, you're playing 5 minutes too long. 40% of your matches are 5 minutes too long. Let's lag for it. I don't want to do that. So we can take advantage of some things that we know. There are some scheduling tricks that we use that I'm not going to say out loud because some people need to learn it on their own that help the flow of the tournament too. But in general, an hour and a half is what it's going to take for scotch with the numbers that you have and singles with the numbers that you have at the 8-ball. Some events like 9-ball, there are some divisions we could bump to 2 hours because the numbers are a lot lower in those divisions. But you have to make sure if you're going to make that change that every event it stays that way, or then we're going back and forth and then people really get upset because last year they had 2 hours and it was raced to 7 and now it's an hour and a half and it's a race to 5. That's pretty jacked up too.
Elaine had her hand up.
Yeah, Rick, tell me if I'm wrong at either of these thoughts, with Western BCA. If we really came down hard on the first round in the morning of every division and on the first round of the B side of every division where people are really fighting to stay alive, would that make a difference, or is that just wishful thinking?
Coming down hard. What do you mean by coming down
In
hard?
terms of time, like refereeing or timing or
So,
that sort of thing.
You want my honesty?
Yeah, I'm asking you honestly, of
Okay,
course.
so the fact that you said in this round let's come down hard and in this round let's come down hard irritates the living hell out of me. Every round should be treated exactly the same.
Yep.
Every player should be treated exactly the same.
I agree, but are those the rounds that typically take longer? I guess that's the better question.
No, I think all in all it's all the rounds are pretty equal.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on who matches up. And so here's the thing, right? So if a referee would go to at least go to the table and take the effort to go, hey guys, you're playing a little too slow. And I mean, look, they'll all tell you, oh, we just don't have time to do that. You're walking down there. Half the time I look, they're looking at their phones. If you got time to look at your damn phone, you got time to walk down that aisle and just look at a match and go, yeah, that guy's taking a little too long on that shot, right? So walk down there, see what the score is. And if the guy is taking too long, all it takes is, look, guy, if you don't pick up the pace on your shots, we're going to have to put you on the shot clock. 9 times out of 10, that fixes the problem. When people are playing slow, your opponent usually matches your energy. So if Lawrence is playing slow and he's playing Eric Townsend's match, he's going to start slowing down and not even realize he's slowing down. It's just human nature. So now I got both players playing slow. So we have to fix that. It's not that they're doing it on purpose. It's when you're at the table and you're thinking about this shot and I want to win this match and I got to focus on this. A minute can go by pretty quick for a lot of people. To me, a minute's a damn long time to be looking at a shot. And if I take a minute and then I shoot and miss, I don't want to play no more. But
Izzy's up next.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I just wanted to add some additional information to what Rick was saying and what I've been gathering on Facebook and off of Facebook. And quite a few people believe that the best way to deal with the slow playing issue is by dealing with it at home bars. Putting the squash on the slow playing at home bars so that way it doesn't make its way to the coast. But surprisingly, as it may be, I also got a lot of feedback, a lot of other people saying leave slow playing at the home bars the way it is. Don't address it, because their argument was, why are we interrupting playing at home bars for those individuals that don't go to the coast?
Who are they, first of all, if you don't mind me asking?
You'll see a few of them on that one post I did on Facebook. I'm not going to name names because I don't have everybody's name memorized, but it was
right. I just meant, when I said who are they, I meant, is it players or is it the bar?
It's players. The bar usually doesn't even notice.
Right. So I would say to them, look, pool is pool and you should play by the rules. And in the rule book, if you open up the CSI rule book, it talks about shot clock.
Have a good weekend.
So I mean, there's a reason you would have a shot clock and a shot clock procedure in there. Players
And-
taking too long do nothing but hurt the game.
Exactly. And that's why it was very surprising to hear that, they're like, you want to just slow playing at the coast, do it at the coast. Leave slow playing at the bars alone for the people that like slow playing. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help the rest of us because it just carries on the bad habit to the coast. Just like when Sam mentioned, hey, if you're in the finals, let them play as long as they want. I'm like, just like you, Rick, I totally disagree with that. There's
I
a
promise
reason
you,
why.
as a tournament director running nationals for years, if I saw a finals playing that slow, the referee put it on the clock.
Yeah. And and like you clearly stated, I really wish sometime Darren, I don't know what he's gonna do whenever he decides to form that committee to take on his challenge, that I'm involved, because as you clearly stated multiple times, we need a refs on board and we need a tournament board along these, on board with this. I know you're eager to do it, and I know there's a lot of players that are also eager to get this problem squashed, because I know one thing I wanted to ask you about is I know a lot of the players that were playing out of Silver 1 and Gold, they didn't like the fact that all they did was play 2 rounds in a day and that was it. Because I remember back in the day, we used to go at least until 10 o'clock midnight playing rounds just so that way we can get the rounds done.
But back in the day, your numbers were probably a lot less too. So some people are just going to play 2 matches a day. There's just too many bodies, right? So I mean, the slow play doesn't really. The matches we schedule, 80% of the time, that's what's scheduled for the day, and that's what we'll play that day, even if it has to play till 2 in the morning. Once in a while, we will bump matches to the next day if things are running that late, because we don't want to play at 3 or 4 in the morning and then bring them back at 9 a.m. But as far as the slow play, I wish you luck trying to enforce slow play during league. Good luck with that. But I think if the players understood that when they come to the regional events at Chinook wins, that if they don't pick up the pace, we will have no other choice but to shorten the races in those divisions. Then I think the players, instead of going, well, I don't want to call a ref over here on my opponent, are going to go, yeah, I don't want to play race to 3 next year, so I'm going to call the ref. I mean, we have to wake everybody up.
That also
There's
goes
no
with,
reason something should take 5 hours. That's ridiculous.
that goes hand in hand with enforcing start times. A lot of players are waiting 15, 20, 30 minutes before they call a ref to their table because their opponent in there. And that alone will save a lot of time.
Yeah.
And right now, there is no penalty for when a player decides to show up late to their own match, when they should be in the room ready to go.
Well, I mean, there is, but they've made it a 15-minute forfeit window. The problem is we don't know that player's not there until the player, the opponent says, hey, calls a ref over and goes, hey, my opponent's not here. Some of those players are giving their opponents an extra 10 to 15 minutes before they even put them on the clock.
We currently don't know, but there is a fix for that coming.
Yes, we are building a lot of fixes into our system to prevent a lot of this stuff.
Steve's got his hand up now.
A couple items. I don't know where this lagging crap turned around and came in.
That's
Vegas,
not us.
This association never used to lag. If anybody was lagging, it would be the higher echelon players that lagged. We always flipped a coin when it came to the break. The other thing is that prior to each tournament, we would have a meeting, regular membership meeting, and there was what they call an adoption policy. Okay, CSI has its own set of rules. Okay, we also have our set of rules that we go by. Okay, and one of the things was, is when we had that meeting, there was the rules that we would use for CSI, and there was rules CSI that we would not use. Okay. And it was well known that there were certain things that we did and certain things we didn't do. Okay. And Lagan was one of them. Now, when it comes to slow play, a lot of times you don't have enough people to go out there and go to a table and sit there with a cell phone or a shot clock to measure the time. Okay. What has worked for me in the past is I always have a couple extra food vouchers. And I'm like, and I find somebody that's not doing anything. It is very easy to teach somebody how to put somebody on the clock and how to work it. Okay. And they're very happy if you turn around and give them a couple of food vouchers and say, thank you very much for volunteering to do that. And a lot of times they'll even turn around and come back and ask to do it again if they don't have anything going on. So that is things that has worked for me in the past.
Yeah, that's great, except for so what we're hearing now, Steve, is the referees are telling people that both players have to agree to go on the clock.
That's not true. That's
Well,
not true.
I know that and you know that, but I'm just telling you what a lot of players are telling us. And then we
Yeah,
have players
that's
telling
what,
us that the referees are like, we don't do the shot clock. And it's like, who are they supposed to call? Right? That's why I'm saying we all have to get on the same page. A player wants somebody to be put on the clock or check to see if they need to be on the clock. Whoever they're calling, which has to be a ref, they put their stick up, they call a ref. That's the ref's job, is to regulate the floor. Then at the very least, the ref can go there and go, okay, here's the deal, and radio for somebody to come put them on the clock or
Exactly.
to time them or whatever. But right now, they're being told they don't even do that. So we have to fix that. We have to get everybody on the same page to deal with this problem.
Well, and
I
also
agree.
having a meeting to say which rules we are not going to enforce and all that. That needs to be in writing, documented, where everybody can get to it before they show up to the tournament. Or otherwise, it's travel knowledge, and who do you go to talk to find all this stuff out? There's a lot of acres covered by your organization. You got to be able to get that information to everybody.
Well, like I said, the meeting was normally held. It was the last meeting before the coast, and the president, there'd be reports just like always, and then the referee, in the case a long time ago, it was Daryl Farley before Dwayne, and we used to turn around and see what rules that we would use and what rules we wouldn't. And we always did that.
Right.
So my suggestion, I hate to interrupt you, Steve, but my
Yeah, no
suggestion would be Jackson and Lawrence, is it would be great if the Western BCA could sit down with somebody that knows the tournament and write tournament regs that you guys could like go, hey, for the next 2 years, these are the rules we're going to run with, so that everybody knows what the rules are and everybody can understand. I think you guys have the same problem with dress code, right? For as long as I can remember, you guys change that damn dress code every time and then go, well, I don't understand why people aren't in the dress code. There's no consistency. You should have rules that at least you go, we're going to run with these rules for 2 years or 4 years or whatever. And these are the tournament regs, because not everything you guys want is the same as what's in the rule book, and not everything is covered in the rule book that you have at tournaments. I just think that would help everybody a lot.
Lawrence, you're doing that right now, right, Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that we talked about, like shot clocks and 45-second shots, those are all in the policies and procedures right now. The problem is getting them out there so everybody sees them, right? We all know we've had that discussion before, but they got to get out there so everybody knows. I guarantee if I asked half the people that are members in this room where the policies and procedures are, I think I'm probably the only one that could tell you exactly the location of them. Well, Ed knows where they're at too. But you know, that's just it's not. We have to make it better, and it's being worked on.
Right. Michelle's next.
Oh, hang on.
He's like, damn, I forgot what I was
Can
going
you?
to ask.
I know. Can you hear me? So
Yep.
I was talking in the chat about do we need to adopt a new set of rules? Like, does WBCA or Bad Boys or whoever, do we need to adopt a new set of rules, or can we just change or tweak the CSI rules, or do we even have to use CSI?
So that's what tournament regs do. Is tournament regs will cover things that you can't find in the CSI rulebook and
Okay.
things that you want to do differently.
It's
Because
crazy.
some tournaments want to do things just different. That's why you should write your own tournament regulations
Okay.
for a tournament.
And even then, still, I mean, personally, I talked to at least 5 players at Lincoln City who did not know the rules. They show up at a state tournament and they don't know the rules. And I was just blown away. I was like, it's not cheap to come here and play, considering.
I run into pro players all over the country and they do tournaments and they don't have a clue what the rules are.
Are you serious?
Absolutely, positively. Hey,
Oh
there's
my God.
at least 15% of pro players that can't read a bracket.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Yeah.
the other problem. We can put all of
Whoa.
this in a nice, perfectly presented package. You can't force them to read it, and you certainly can't force them to understand it. So you can only do
But-
so much, and it's on the players at that point.
Are there some actors in the Western BCA? You guys should do
Actors.
some public announcements
Ah,
on video
what
that
if
you
we-
could just put on a TV and run at the tournaments. I think make them funny, but cover the things that need to be covered, right?
yeah.
Like you're getting on a Disney ride and you got that little video that it's, yeah.
Izzy's next.
Yeah, so for years I've heard, not just me, I've heard it from other players too, where what Steve Marker said about both captains have to agree to a shot clock. I've heard that for years. So have other players. I heard it from tournament board members. I've heard it from multiple different referees. One year, I'm not even going to mention the year, I went to a ref, asked him for a shot clock on my match because my opponent was just going too slow. And literally the referee flat out told me, I'm sorry, I don't have time to do that. Now that's been going on for years. Okay. I mean, the first time I saw somebody slow playing was back in 2008, 2009. And I can honestly say this, still talking to other players,
Is he still playing that match?
not just in Washington, but also Oregon. It's like a lot of the players, when we go to the coast, yeah, we know that the person's slow playing, but a lot of us literally believe, what's the point of bringing it to a referee's attention if they're not going to do anything? That's the other flip side to that coin, that once something is decided, once something is actually going to be in place to put a stop to slow playing, the information then has to be shared with all the players that are going to go to the coast. So that way they somehow it's reasserted to the players who have been ignored for many years, that when they go to a ref and ask him, hey, I want a shot clock on my match, they're not going to be turned away and say, no, we're not going to do it.
That happened to Chris Robbins at this last tournament.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's
Don't get me started on that one.
I
Yeah,
know,
no
I know,
doubt.
it was a nightmare.
That like I said, it's one thing, once we have everything in place to deal with the slow playing, we're going to have to gain the trust of the players, because for years it's been ignored. And a lot of the players I spoke to, that's how they feel. What's the point of calling a ref over if he's not going to do anything?
Not only do we
and
have
which
to
group
come
of
with
refs are we talking about? Right? Because we've had some really good refs, and then we've had some that are just, oh my gosh, they don't know anything.
So let's be fair to the referees, and I'm gonna say this, and it might piss some people off, and they'll just have to get over it. I think there are some referees right now that are afraid to enforce certain things because there's zero and I say this, there is zero consistency with the Western BCA over the last several years. A referee would go out before and they'd get on somebody about dress code, and then they would go ahead and let that person be okay. That makes the referee look bad. And other things like that would happen, and somebody up higher than the referee would go, nah, that's okay. I don't blame the referees for not wanting to enforce stuff because and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think any of the referees feel like the Western BCA has their back. Some might tell you that, some maybe, I don't know. But that's just my observation of watching the refs deal with stuff on the floor.
Tim
If we can all
Fraser.
get on the same page, and I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just saying there's no consistency. We have to come up with what we're going to do, and we have to commit to it. And it can't be, well, we're going to commit with it on the first day, but not the second day. Or we can't go, oh, we're going to do this, but not in the finals. I mean, we need to sit down and we need to have a group together and we need to hash out what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, lay down in writing whatever we're doing, and then we have to enforce it, be consistent with it, and show everybody that we're serious. If you're not going to do that, let's quit wasting our time. We'll just shorten the races where we need to and play pool.
Right.
That's
Tim Fraser's next. You're muted too.
Eyes forward, Tim.
See if I can help.
He's like, I can't unmute it and drive. Hello. Wait till you pull over, man.
Yeah. Play with it. We'll let Ed go next and we'll let you try again. Ed Slade.
Hey, you got it. Hey, everybody. It's kind of cool to see everybody here on a meeting with Rick, and thanks for putting this on, Rick. It's pretty cool. I wish I had time to sit at my computer and watch it, but I'm running a 28-person 8-ball tournament, and
Nice.
it's hectic in here. So I just got a couple seconds and a couple things to say. Slow play. I think Izzy and his idea of having it handled by the leagues was taken out of context from me. I think that the league operators need to inform their players that there is a 45-second shot clock. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to say on that. As far as handling at a league night, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think if a league operator sees somebody taking a couple, 3 or 4 minutes to shoot, they should talk to that person on the side and say, hey, if you plan on going to the coast, they have a 45-second shot clock. So it just needs to be better communicated with the players. Yeah. We also have records of slow players. And so at the tournaments, the tournament directors that are working the floor, which we've had just a couple lately, they need to be better informed at who those players are, and they need to be on them from the get-go. And I really think that the tournament directors, we need more of them, and we need to help the referees out and bad boys out by dealing with those issues when they come up, and right out of the gate, half an hour into the match, you need to be on it.
Yeah.
Really, that's about all I got to say on slow play. Facebook's been kind of a blast the last week. With I'm running for president, and I really appreciate all the support that I've been seeing out there. And the meeting, I hope we can vote by Zoom. I hope that gets figured out. And I just want to say thanks for all the support. And one thing, even if I don't win, I'm not going anywhere. Y'all ain't getting rid of me. So go Western BCA. I love y'all. And I got to go run a pool tournament.
Go get some work done.
All right, Tim.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right. So, yeah, I was just thinking if the referees are going to be checking games for slow play, it might be easier if the beads went back up over the table to be able to keep track of people. I know initially that you know, they would
Sorry,
still have
boy.
to come over and see start time. But from afar, they can see, shit, it's been a half hour. Only two more games have been played. And that can be noticed by the incoming team that's waiting for the table and say something. It kind of puts a flag on people. I mean, every little bit helps, I guess. That's about it.
Are you taking any of the money for the entry fee at that?
I can.
And Nikki's next.
Okay. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure that we collect the email addresses when people are signing up. I hope. If not, maybe we could add that question in, because maybe a week before the tournament, after we come up with a meeting where we brainstorm exactly, work with the referees and work with just everyone involved to make sure that we all have a plan, what that's going to look like, and then email, hey, the tournament's next in 10 days, and these are going to be the rules this year, and it's got a copy of the dress code so people can pack appropriately, and the 45-second shot clock. And Izzy was saying how feeling like the players are ignored. I think if they're not getting stuff like that, it's just an oversight that we didn't think about, not that not that anyone's meaning to ignore any of the players. So I'm glad that all this is getting brought up, and I agree that sometimes giving an exception for one person, it makes them look bad and makes it look like we're not following our own rules. So I'm glad that you called us out on that, because that has happened. Hopefully we can make a change.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So as soon as all that gets packaged up into a PDF or whatever you do, I know on our signups, as soon as you go online and sign up for one of our tournaments, it sends you a confirmation email saying this is what you thanks for all this stuff. So it would be nothing to add a link. Oh yeah, by the way, here's their link to our tournament regs. Make sure you've read these before you show up, so you'll know what's going on. It should be a pretty.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's a great idea and super simple.
Yep. And then it doesn't take anybody putting extra effort into doing it. It's automatic. Dave Chavez, you're muted, but you're next.
Can you hear me?
And you.
Beautiful. Hey, how's everybody doing? First off,
I gotta pee. Can we
sorry for being late to your meeting, Rick. Work got me tonight. Anyways,
that's all right.
One thing, I mean, I'm all for the shot clock, the time, whatever, the 45 seconds, getting that all taken care of. However, I got one question and then a comment. When you go to change this or you want to enforce something, we need to make sure, and I don't know if it's been touched on or not, to some of our players that go over there are disabled.
Right.
Physically, they just don't think or move the way somebody that hasn't had, say, a stroke or something go on, versus somebody that's fairly healthy and can get around the table and think quicker than others. So I would suggest that, we need to, if we're writing up things or putting ideas together, we need to keep that in mind. And then I would also say, I went to Dwayne's referee school this time over there for the 8-ball.
Yep.
And one of the things I learned was, what you find out when people start complaining about the shot clock or people playing slow, it's actually the person that's complaining that's the one that's playing slow. And so I thought about that, and as I walked around over there this last time and had a few people talk to me about putting somebody on the shot clock or whatever, when I stepped back and got away from them and actually watched the table playing, it was the person that was making the complaint that was actually playing slow. It wasn't the opponent. It was the guy complaining. So
you're 100% correct on that. And usually That is the point I made earlier, is people play, they match the energy in a match. Right? So this guy is playing slow, then his opponent starts playing slow, and then this guy notices that his opponent's playing slow, but not as slow as he is. And then they want to go to a ref and get a ref and go, hey, my opponent's playing slow. What I've seen happen in my experience is the ref will then go to the table, time it, or stand back and time it. And then they'll come up to me and they'll go, well, the guy that came and got me is playing slower. I'm like, okay, but are they playing over the 45 seconds? You still, I don't care who brought you to the table. What I care about is the match is taking too long. So you still have to put them on the clock, you know. But yeah, you're 100% right. There is a lot of times when it's the opponent complaining that's the one shooting slow.
And then the last thing I want to say, because I don't know how long I'm going to be on there, and I know we got that meeting coming in a couple weeks and whatever. I'm really big on communication. And I don't know, for the ones that are on this Zoom call, I don't see a list or whatever, and it's probably because of my phone or whatever. But I know this last time over there, Rick come over and sat down next to me on the Western BCA side of the podium one day. And me and him sat up there shoulder to shoulder and shot the bull with each other for a couple hours. And we talked about everything, it seemed like. And the one thing that I was surprised about, not that I have a problem talking to anybody, because I think communication is the only way to solve the issues that need to be solved. But the one thing that surprised me was there was 3 or 4 people that come up to us and actually said, I can't believe you guys are sitting side by side, sitting next to each other talking. And I thought about that a little bit during the rest of that night and after I got back and whatever. And that just showed me that there's a disconnect between Western BCA and Bad Boys, and the communication's only going to stop that. So we need to, and I think that's everybody. Everybody needs to communicate better to make it better. And I would end this by saying, you know, I come from Idaho where a big tournament's of 30 people and you're playing on all kinds of tables and you don't know what you got. And when I moved here 10 years ago, man, I'd say this, the Western BCA people that are always hollering about everything and complaining about everything and wanting to change and wanting to do this and that, keep this in mind. You really don't know how good you guys have it, because I send pictures home after every event and they wish they could come over and play with us. Because where I come from, they're not part of Western BCA. So they look at the venues and stuff that I send pictures of and they're in awe because they wish they could do that. So that's all I got to say.
Dave, I want to say thank you, because that's music to my ears. I think I've talked to a lot of people over the last, 6 months to a year, and even over the last few days. And that nothing could be more true than communication is the most important thing that we can do. Having this meeting, getting people together, having people, take the time out of their Friday night to sit here and listen to each other and talk through things. Like, that's what's going to make a difference, is communicating. So thank you for saying that, Dave.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Yeah, Dave, I kept hitting the heart reaction. I didn't know if you could see it or not. I was thinking everything you were saying was so true, and hopefully nobody gets offended, because everyone has been invited to this tonight, and I just think this is a fantastic way to start communicating with everybody together, and that anyone can come sit in. And we're not voting on anything, we're just brainstorming ideas. And I'm thinking, like, when Fargo started and the times, who you're playing, you have a really close Fargo with someone else, and so now it goes hill, and that maybe those where people are thinking longer because it's closer, they're tied up over and over and over again. Do you think that that has slowed down the game at all because of the pressure that it's 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and then that it's so close? Or do you think it's
Absolutely.
always been like that?
Yeah, no, I think if well, most of us are old enough. If you go back and watch any pool from 10 years ago, go back and watch Derby City from 10 years ago. And you go back and you watch now, we're having this problem at Derby City where we have to add a day because 9-ball can't get done in time because they're playing different. You know, it used to be the players would just jump up to the table and they'd break and they'd run. Now they're playing more cautious and smarter because their opponents are getting better and better. So everybody's starting to play smarter and tighter. So if you and you can see that if you go back and watch videos from 10 years ago. I think the exact same thing has happened. Well, first, you know, the better balance of skill level definitely has more games per match on average, where matches or tournaments used to be in a race to 5, the average game score was 5, 7.5 games played, right, in a race to 5. Where now it's probably 8.5 games played because you know you have 5-3, 5-4 scores, and there's a lot more of those. Where back in the day, you know, at the beginning of a tournament, a match would go 5-zip. You'd have a ton of 5-zips. Well, that gives me all kinds of tables for the next round. If anybody's running late, I just move them to those tables because those matches got done so fast, right? You can't do that now because all the matches are taking a little bit longer. People are starting to play much smarter pool because now they can be competitive. That's the great thing about Fargo and being able to actually put people in a skill level. Where back before that, you had Master Division. Well, if you went back and looked at your old Master Divisions, the Fargos were massively far apart. When Fargo first came out, we looked at it, and you guys had people that were playing in the Master Division that could barely make it in, you know, your Silver 2 division now.
Because they were willing to compete.
Well, that and some of them were just bumped up because they did well in a tournament before. I mean, just because you had one good week doesn't mean that's how good you are either, right? It's a different world now. We all have to get on that page. The old school guys will all tell you, just balls up and jump in there and play. That's what I had to do. Why can't y'all do it? Right? But we have to get past that because that's not how pool is anymore. Pool is people want to go play and be competitive, and that's why your numbers are bigger. If you go back and you look at the days when everybody just needed to balls up and go, hey, I want to go play against the Masters, you jumped in, you went and you played. And you had 3 divisions, and the skill level was massively different in each division. But you guys only had 750 entries back then. Now you have 1,500 entries throughout the event. It's because people can be competitive and have a good time. It's much easier to go play in a tournament if you lose 5-3, 5-4 than it is to go in there and go 5-zip, 5-zip, and it looked like you couldn't make a ball, right? So yeah, it changes, and that's why we have to jump more on making sure that the matches are fitting in the time slot that we give them because everybody's running tighter and up to that wire. Plus, it sounds like the refs have kind of slacked off on, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, we saw a lot more people being put on the clock. And now nobody's being put on the clock.
Well, and if we had said that, oh, it's okay for you, and I agree with what Dave said about somebody that has a hard time walking around the table. There should be some exceptions for something like that situation, just to be compassionate to other people.
Yeah, so to address that, right? To address the people that are handicapped and they're going to move around the table a little slower and stuff, we try to make sure for those people that we get them on an end table so they can move around easier. The reality is yeah, when a referee, that's why a referee should go see what the scores are and stuff. If a referee goes to a table and you see, or you guys tell them, sorry, that somebody is handicapped or slowed down for physical reasons, then they should consider that However, we can't jam up an entire tournament for that. So if it gets way out of hand, you have to shorten the races. I mean, that's why originally I wrote the delayed progress rule. I'm the one that came up with that for CSI, was because you have certain matches that players can't make balls, or too many safeties on purpose, or handicap players that just can't get around the table fast enough. You can have some leeway, but you can't. It's not fair to everybody to go, well, because this guy's in a wheelchair, we're going to give him an extra 45 minutes. I mean, an extra 5 or 10. That's why I don't like the lag idea. To me, that's just ridiculous, but that's my opinion. But a referee can, go to the table and should be smart enough to go, okay, look, I got to make exceptions here. But you also go, hey, dude, look, you're at 45 minutes and you only got 1 or 2 games. You're probably going to need to shorten the race, or they're going to jack up the entire tournament at that point. But I don't think you guys are running into too much of that. Like, I'm thinking maybe the handicap people that play a tight match, they might go 10, 15 minutes behind. We can live with that. That doesn't ruin the tournament. It's the matches that go an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours over. Those are the ones that are killing the event.
Chris Nordling.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, has anybody ever asked you to write down or submit your thoughts, like, hey, shorten these races, hey, do this, after an event like this when it's still fresh in your mind, and maybe make some suggestions to Western BCA? And second part of that question is, there's a lot of talk, not a lot of talk, but there's sometimes people bring up the fact that, hey, if singles were on the weekend, I would be able to attend that. I'm not going to come until singles. Is that ever a consideration? Maybe move and flip those events around a little bit once in a while?
Well, so, okay, so I'll answer the second question first. So Bad Boys has now, since we left CSI, decided to create our own events. We have 4 events that are our own now, and we're still working on more. We have set up ours so that singles is the first weekend, and then we do Scotch doubles, and if we have time, we do 9-ball during the week, and then we do teams on the following weekend. Our thought is, yeah, more people would want to come play singles, but they can't take the whole week off from work. For you guys, it would take 4 days to get done. And if you grow much more than that, it might take even more. But I have no problem coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and running singles, right? To me, I like that. And then Monday through Thursday, you can do whatever you want. You could do Scotch and then a ton of minis or whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, I think it's something to consider.
And have they ever asked for your feedback and your professional opinion on some of these, or to create a list like, hey, here's what I think in the next 5 years we need to address this,
Right.
and this, and get that on paper?
Yeah, back to your first question on that. In all honesty, there's no other way to say it. Since Darren has become president, there's almost been zero communication. I don't know what it is that he don't like about us, but it's hard to communicate with him. I ask questions and it just doesn't happen.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been coming to this tournament for a long time, and this event in particular was probably one of the best run ones with the least amount of issues that I personally have seen over the last 20 some odd years. So thank you for a good job.
Thank you. And we have some stuff coming that are going to be
just
things
to
we
touch
got
on that,
building
Rick.
right now that are going to be really cool. That's going to help with our program.
Just to touch on that, Rick.
Go ahead.
Just because there hasn't been communication with Darren does not mean there hasn't been communication.
No.
Right. I just want everybody to be clear about that.
So,
We've worked really hard to.
Yeah. So let's go this route.
That.
Okay. Since the last event, let's just be straightforward. So nobody has any confusion here. Once Darren canceled our contract, we pretty much figured that was the end because of the way he canceled it, the communication after that. I pushed because they wanted to say Bad Boys didn't act like they were in a big hurry. I pushed I had sent Darren a message going, hey, we need to have a conversation on how we're going to proceed to speed this up. Let's put a group together like this so we can try to speed up the process of getting a contract. Because at that point, he's like, oh, yeah, we want diamond tables. Nothing progressed. He said, nah, we don't need that. So then we pushed kind of hard for a Zoom meeting. So then we had the contract committee Zoom meeting. 2 days prior to that Zoom meeting, Sam Rabito reached out to my table guy, Rick Parkinson, and asked him if he did the tables and stuff. And Rich asked him why. And he said, well, we want to do tables without Rick Jones. Then we had the Zoom meeting. During the Zoom meeting, I brought it up. I said, let's work this out. Let's fix all this shit. I don't want any backstabbing crap. Where Sam Rabita goes, oh yeah, I agree. And then we finished the meeting, and then nothing really happened. So at that very moment, we considered we needed to go out and start looking for a tournament because we figured there's no way they're not going to make this deal. On top of that, somebody that does not want to be named called me and said, hey, the way Darren did this was bad. That's bullshit. And he told me if he can't work out a deal with Bad Boys, he has Predator tables backed up. He's got them sitting and waiting in case he can't make a deal with you. So we figured it wasn't going to happen. Then apparently Mike D reached out to Julie and said something to her. I didn't even know. And then Julie messaged me and said, hey, what's going on with the contract stuff? So I told her, really nothing. And I even sent her all the emails, all that stuff. And anyway, then they jumped in, they dissolved the thing. Jackson reached out to me. And the minute Jackson reached out to me, we started having real conversations. That's really the only conversations that we have had with Western BCA for at least the last 3 years. So now we're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we will get a contract. But during my negotiations with Jackson, I'm at Derby City. So it was really stressful for us. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Derby City, but it's a brutal event. And then Toby got sick as a dog, so it was even more brutal. But we're trying to work a contract with Jackson. We're talking about everything, what you guys want, what we want. And I feel like I could have held Western BCA over a barrel and said, no, I want way more money because you guys were kind of screwed on getting diamonds. You're either going to get them for me or you weren't going to get them. But I chose not to do that because I wanted to show the players that we're here for the players. So me and Jackson were really close to working things out. And then I get a phone call from my truck driver who tells me Dwayne Payne has called him and told him how much I had set the price for the tables, which nobody knew except for me and Jackson and whoever Jackson told. My crew didn't even know. So I was this close to just going, screw it. We don't even want to do it now because there's just too much bullshit happening. But Jackson talked me off of that ledge and everything's been good since then. So yeah, communication is very, very important. I've reached out to Darren at least twice going, hey, what's your problem with us so we can work it out? He's not interested. I beg you guys, when you go vote for somebody else. That's my personal opinion, but I think we can run better and better tournaments if we all work together. I hate bashing on who I'm bashing on, but it's the truth. So I'm going to tell the truth. The communication now is great between Lawrence, Jackson, Julie. It's great communication. And I think this tournament showed what communication could do. And if we keep talking and working together, I think the next event will be even better. So there's my rant for the event.
I didn't mean to open a can of worms, but thank you for your input, man. It's much appreciated that it's honest and to the point. But if you don't mind, like, could you write down a few things for us and send it to somebody important and just to kind of have those things? Because I think your input on paper would be just as valuable as your input.
Yeah, and I would
People
love
can see it.
to. Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to sit down with I think there should be a tournament committee that sits and talks about all this stuff, because you guys are always going to replace presidents, vice presidents, board members, and we need to have continuity from event to event. So yeah, I think, you know, I
But I
don't want
think
to retrain every other president, right?
Sure, and I think that that's the ultimate goal of a lot of the league players is to go to a high quality professional run event over however many days they choose to show up and have a good time. And so if we can have some continuity and some, you know, some of you talk about like resolving the slow play or getting the referees on board, getting everybody on the same page, I think we only get better in the coming years.
Yep, I agree. I agree. The smarter the players are, the better everything is too, right? So Izzy was right. We need to let the players know what we're doing. There needs to be tournament regs so they can actually go and read it, whether they choose to read it or not. You know, my opening statement at every tournament I run is, you better know the rules or your opponent will tell you. So you really don't want to learn the rules through your opponent, because you're probably going to get fouled or something. So, cool. It got quiet. It was a little rant, guys. Let's
quiet. That was a little rant.
Yeah, that was a little one.
Well, we'd hate to hear a big one, but we do appreciate your honesty, and it does come at the right time, man, when people are going to vote and decide how the future is going to be run for the next couple of years. So, like I said, I for one appreciate the honesty, and it may not be what everyone wants to hear, but we have to hear it.
Well, appreciate that.
Please don't get them
I wish that had been said at the meeting for everyone to hear, quite honestly.
Well, I really wanted to say it at the last meeting, but it just never felt right. I wish I would have known that I could have been in the meeting prior, because I would have called them out on all their crap when you guys were all, you know, woofing at each other, because there was so many things said that were just crap. But I didn't know I could be in those meetings because I'm just a tournament guy. I thought I had to be invited.
Right.
So, but the last meeting went so good, I didn't feel like it was the right place to do it. I would have just looked like the bad guy for going on a rant.
Rick, thank you for not, because we needed to get some, we need to bond together, and every meeting has been a nightmare. And
Right.
so that was the first meeting that everybody's kind of getting on the same page, and you deserve to be able to say your opinion and what happened. But I am glad that we've had one meeting now that people aren't ripping each other's throats out.
Well, until the end of it anyway.
Oh, yeah, there's always got to be a twist. But it was
I
a
just
good
wanted
meeting.
him to answer the question.
Hey, I came in late. Can you start over?
Hey, we'll post this up later. You can watch the replay.
Just play it in reverse.
Yeah, play it backwards. Anybody got something? Any complaints? You want to know how
So, Rick-
something works? Why we don't do this or that?
Hey, Rick, I put a question in the chat about didn't Vegas, or didn't both Vegas and LC used to be 2-hour matches, and then they stopped, and now they're back to 2-hour matches in Vegas? Am I remembering that right? Because I haven't been to Vegas in a long time.
For what divisions?
8-ball.
But yeah, 8-ball.
Right, but there's a lot of divisions. There's singles, scotch, what?
I think I used to play just singles and teams in Vegas.
Singles, as long as I can remember, has always been 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Okay, and what about teams? Was that over 2 hours?
Teams at one point was 2.5 hours.
2.5. Oh.
2.5. And then when you got down to a certain point, they went to 3 tables a long time ago.
Oh, right. I remember that.
And then we finally got to run the event. And after the 3rd year, I think we finally went, yeah, no, let's don't do 3 tables. That's, to me, that's not pool. That's run them through, ram them through. So we got it down to 2 tables, but
yeah, 2's better.
yeah.
Okay, so my memory's not crazy, but yeah, thanks.
Come on, bring it on.
Yeah, I just need to clarify something real quick. Mike, are you still here? Mike D.
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm still here, definitely. And who's speaking? Who's speaking?
It's Lawrence. You had asked me.
Oh, hey, what's up, Lawrence?
Hey, you had asked me during the tournament if the Steyrs had paid for a booth, and I had said yes. That was what I left it at. I did not did pay cash or money for the booth. They paid back it with commentary with Raw on the stream, and that was agreed upon with the board and with the leadership.
That's cool.
Okay,
It's not
I'll,
bad
stay,
commentating
I'll
to
stay
have.
out of that one, man. I'm staying out of that one. That sounds very sticky to me. You know, if we afforded that same accommodation to everyone that we found impressive in the pool world, what a mess we would all be in. Can you imagine if Scott Frost showed up to sell his video, and Shane Van Bonen showed up to do lessons, and we were all so impressed and enamored with them, we just let that happen. What a mess we'd all be in. But anyway,
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
there's more important things to talk
Hey,
about.
Mike, can I say something there? I
Mike,
agree with what you're saying. But I think what happened in this situation is we were caught off guard. Apparently, from my understanding of it, their people had reached out to a member of the board. It was never shared with the rest of the board. So they fully expected that we were expecting them. So we sort of, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, it was almost a little like insulting when they showed up, because we're like, what the hell are you doing here? So then it was just backtracking and trying to make it work for both of us. I wish that we had known. We could have really taken advantage of that. We could have optimized, made a great thing out of that. But it was a very last minute trying to fix things, trying to make the best out of a bad situation.
Okay,
Just so you know, it wasn't
To that, I would like to say, because these are elected positions, I think it's perfectly fine to say what board member knew about it and didn't share that information. I know maybe it's polite to not, but this isn't a high school kind of a thing where we don't want to talk shit about each other. These are elected positions that will come up for re-election. I personally think it's fair and reasonable to ask, who was the board member that knew that and didn't share that information? If it's the one I suspect, it's the board member that has had a problem sharing information with the rest of the board many times.
I don't know if I'm allowed to address. You know what? I don't have proof that it was true. I don't have any.
No, that's fine. I don't want to put you in a funny position. I just hope everybody understands where I'm coming from. That board member will come up for re-election. If it's the board member that consistently is not sharing information with the rest of the board, for God's sakes, we should know that. And that's a problem. Anyway,
I agree.
What a missed
I know you
opportunity.
agree. I'm not trying to pick on you. I just, yeah.
Yeah, huge missed opportunity there. I think your numbers were probably, some people said, well, the numbers are down. I think your numbers were probably down less than they would have been because it was Easter. But I wonder if those numbers would have went up a little more if they'd have known a Moscone Cup player was coming to hang out for the week, right? So bummer that opportunity was missed. I think
Look, let's not leave out Margaret in this whole thing, all right? She was with Tyler as well, and she was fantastic and supported everything really well.
Okay. I'm game with that. She is a sweetheart.
Yeah, and they were great about it, and hopefully we'll be able to do things in the future and work it out better ahead of time. And yes, they would be charged for a booth if they got a booth. We didn't even have a booth for them.
Yes, I think they're wonderful people, and they're wonderful people.
God, Nikki, where are you driving to?
I left my house at 3:30 in the morning, had to drive to Seattle from Vancouver, sit through an 8-hour training, and then drive home from Seattle. So yeah, I'm on an adventure. I'm glad that there's technology to be able to do this. And I'm also really glad that we're having this conversation, because if you guys don't know where we're coming from when we're making crazy decisions, you don't know. So asking makes it so we can explain why we made those decisions. Like, why would we let them come for free? Because yeah, Mike, you're totally right. We don't want Scott Frost. Absolutely right. So
Yeah,
thanks for letting us talk.
Yeah, I think having these kind of conversations are good. I think for us, the reason I wanted to do this was there was all this talk about this or that at the tournament, and it's like, there's a lot of players that don't know us. This is a good way to get to know people, and having an open conversation about things that happen at a tournament is a little easier than trying to type those things out, because people take it the wrong way. It's like you can't type it with a laugh or a smart ass answer and giggle at it on a Facebook post. So.
Elaine's hands up.
Yeah, Rick, do you guys have a Bad Boys banner that we could put up? Like
we
a
will
big
have
one?
Yeah, we're getting some made now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that would be really helpful, I think, for people knowing where to go and where to put score sheets and stuff like that. Cool.
Hey, Rick, do you want to talk about future stuff with the system that you guys use for tournaments or anything like that?
Sure. So
let's get
hopefully by October, part of this slow play problem will be gone. We'll need to so the system we're building, players will need to give us their email so that we stop the multiple
That was it.
Fargo
Safe
problem that
way.
people have. There's like 10
Oregon City,
of the
babe.
same player in Fargo, right? For us, we're going to use emails because there's not going to be, how many Dave Chavez's with the same email are you going to have, right? So you'll give us your email, you'll be able to log into our system. Then when you go to the table, you'll be able to scan a QR code at the table, which will tell me that Dave is at the table. And then if Kobe is playing Dave and the start time comes and Kobe hasn't checked in at the table, it will send him a message going, you are now on the clock. So now he'll know he's on the clock no matter where he's at, because he's not at that table. Once Kobe gets there and he checks in, they can start the match. The system eventually will tell us when the match exactly started. It will tell us, because they will score live while they're playing. So then I will know on table 10 that between Dave and Kobe, it's 1-0, and it's been 30 minutes. I'll send a referee over to that table and go, you need to go see why it's only 1-0. And then you'll score your match when it's done. And you won't have to come get paper from us. It'll be done. And then it will tell you when your next match is. And those technologies will definitely speed up everything. Plus, your people can follow it.
Chris, how's that going to work for the guys that don't have smartphones?
Well, then the opponent can check in, push a spot on the button that says you're both there.
How to do it?
And then you'll just score the match as you go. You can score.
Oh, no, it's just down. It's just
And
down
then you're
here.
going to tell your buddy to go get a damn smartphone because it's 2024, not 1980.
Right.
I know there are quite a few guys out there that don't have smartphones. They just have a basic flip phone.
You got to start hanging out with some younger people there, Izzy.
Oh, I got a dumb phone.
If you just get the implant in the hands, we just scan our hands right by there and just.
That's coming, right?
I thought
it's going to be on your forehead, though.
I thought we were going to shock collars. Everybody seemed to like that idea.
Yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Make a remote for it.
Elaine.
Yeah, Rick, some comments that a couple of the newer people that were down in Lincoln City this time. So in bracket B's, and some of them were older, they do have a smartphone, but they had a little trouble navigating once they went to the B side. So when they typed in their name, it just went where they started, and they weren't really clear how to get back to their B side match. Is
Right.
there a way for you folks to know that when someone is on the B side, when their name is keyed in, that it automatically goes to the B side match where they're at?
Well, it's gonna tell them where their next match is, right? So
No, I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so when you play your match, once you score it, it will tell you that your next match, it will, obviously it will know whether you won or lost once you score it. And it will
Right.
say you're going to the loser side, table whatever at what time. It'll tell you that. If you want to
Nope.
see it on the bracket, all you
Yeah.
do is type in your name will come up, and you just hit that little X
Yeah.
on there, and it will highlight all the matches that you're in, and you just follow that to right where you go.
Right. But I think they went to the right to the winner's side and didn't go to the left to the B side,
Right.
You know what I
All they
mean?
have to do is hit that little X and it'll take them to where they are.
Yeah.
Elaine,
Is
I
there a way-
think what you're getting at is we can make a small how-to video,
Yeah.
around September or so and put it on the Facebook page of, hey, if you're coming to the coast, this is what we're using. It
Yeah.
might not be familiar for you, so this is how you look at our brackets, because I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It actually did mess up a little bit. It didn't always take you to the right place. I will say that.
Correct.
I've done a lot of brackets through tournament softball, kids basketball, and that was a glitch in the system where it didn't immediately take you to where you were supposed to go. And that happened
Yeah,
on
it
about
happened to
day
me
3.
once on my match, but a couple of the people were saying, "Well, how come it's going to the A side?"
It worked it did work for the first couple of days of Scotch, I noticed, but once I got into singles and beyond, it was sketchy at best, and that could just be a bug in the system.
Yeah, they were in singles. Thanks,
So
Mike.
just so everybody
but I like
knows.
the video idea, Kobe. That's really cool.
We can do that. Just so everybody knows, anytime you guys have anything that's weird, doesn't work right, tell us.
Yeah.
Text it to me, something. I can't fix anything if I don't know what's happening. Just so everybody is very, very clear. If a
My
referee
my
won't
motor
put
went
you a
down on my
point on the
truck.
shot
Can you
clock,
help
come
me?
and tell me. If your phone, because some people were having this problem, their phone was zoomed in so far because they're old and have my eyes, that when they went to the brackets actually merged over the top of each other, so you
Right.
couldn't see. And they're trying to fix that because I think it's only happening now with Samsung, but they're trying to figure out how to fix that. But yeah, anytime you guys have anything that's not working the way you want it to, or you come up with an idea and you go, wow, this would be really cool for the system, let us know.
Yeah.
I got some of
think
the
you did
best
fix something
programmers
at
on the
9
planet
ball.
working right now. So
All right, we got a question in the chat. I heard a lot of players complain about not having a match the first day of singles, or they had only one. Can you explain how that happened, and is there a solution? And then after that, Richard's up.
well, I have to assume everybody had a match unless they had a bye and a bye.
Right.
Right.
That's just
Is
kind of
there
how
a
the
fix for that? There's really not a fix for that. You guys have, I don't know, what'd you have? 685 singles, I think.
Oh.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 685 singles. So some people have suggested, well, why don't you start this division and run through it as fast as you can? It'd still take 3 days to do that division, just because there's that many. But what happens is then you're knocking people out on the first day, a lot of people, right? So now you got people paying to come down for 3 or 4 days, or they're coming down for the whole week because they're playing teams too, and purposely knocking a ton of people out of the tournament, and then not having anything they can do for a couple days is not really a good idea either. The way we schedule the event to make it fit is trying to I don't want to give away too much of our knowledge, but there's a reason we schedule it the way we do that makes the event run better, and it's kinder to the players. And it also allows us to start second chance when we do, so that we can get all the second chance done before the end of the event. If we go in and we run through a division, those people aren't going to get to play second chance for a couple of days either. And then everybody's jammed up. Everybody has to play the same way. They would all have to, you'd have to come in and it'd be all, I would much rather as a player, and I think most players, that if you're going to win a tournament, you would rather come in, play a couple matches, the next day play, maybe 3 or 4 matches. The next day you come in, you play 3 or 4 matches. The next day you come in, you win the tournament, right? Instead of you lose the first round, and if you want to win, you play back to back until you're done. Because then there's no bathroom breaks, there's no food breaks, it's just back to back to back to back. Nobody wants to play that way. You're not playing real pool. You're playing what we used to say in the old days is who could do the best drugs to stay awake long enough to hold their shit together, right? So there's reasons that we schedule the way we do. And some of that is going to mean some players are only going to play twice a day, or they might only play once because they got to buy, but it's really, it's the best way. Some people might not agree with that. That's how we do it. And there's many reasons why. And, there's some info I just don't want to give up so that other people get that info. They need to learn it their way, but trust me, it's a better way of doing it.
Richard, you muted, but your turn.
Yes, I wanted to address Elaine's concern about navigating, finding your name on the B side and all that. One of the things I discovered is I tap my name on the bracket on any match, and my name will light up in yellow, or my team name or my Scotch partnership or whatever will light up in yellow on the bracket in every match that I'm in. So it runs up the A side, and then when that stops, it goes to the B side, anywhere on there. So you can zoom out or just look around and easily spot your name that way. Gotta just tap it.
Yeah, and if you follow it on the winner side, right, to let's say it goes out 3 times on the winner side, you follow it to the right, and then you click on that little X there, it will take you to the loser side right where you're at. Right? And we'll have to do a video so that people can see that, but it does take you there. And
Yeah, I knew that it did, but I think one day it didn't work, as somebody had said, but my newer people didn't know how to do that. So yeah, I think the video will solve that. Thanks.
Yep.
Tracy Self, you're muted.
Okay, Sean, but it's okay. It says Tracy.
It looks like Tracy.
So on the bracket, on the bracket, Rick. So I noticed on the teams, and I didn't really look through all the teams. I just noticed in our bracket. I've never noticed it before, but on our slot, we didn't get a bye in the first round.
What division were you in?
Lost our first one. We got 1 bye, and then we played again. But we noticed there was a few teams in there that got a bye on the front, and all of a sudden they got 2 more byes on the back. So they got 3 byes when we were only getting 1, and there was multiple teams that was with. Is that something just
yeah,
happens,
so that happens. That happens when if you look at a bracket, I mean, so what happens is if there is, let's say the bracket, so brackets are 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, right? So those ridiculous buys, which is frustrating to everybody, those tend to happen for 2 reasons. One, if there's, let's say on a 64 bracket, there happens to be 65 players. So now I have to go to a 128 bracket. Well, that means only 1 match in that first round is going to play. Everybody else gets a bye.
Yeah.
Which sucks. It does. I mean, that's why when they do the split on singles, it's like, please do it 5 or 6 people under a bracket size, right? Worst thing I want is a couple people over that. Yeah. And then what happens is when you have something like that, let's say probably for yours, I'd have to look, but let's say for yours, there were, we had to do it on a 128 bracket, but you only had like 68 players or 68 teams, right? So I really don't have no choice. We have to do it on a 128 bracket. But let's say they come to us and they go, well, this team is being moved to this division. Well, we've already done the draw. The bracket's already ready. Now we got to pull a team out. Well, there's so many buys. There's really nowhere, right? So somebody might get an extra bye because we had to pull a name out that was matched up, and it just falls that way.
Yeah, I've just never, the brackets I won, usually at the most you get 2 buys. You don't get 3 buys. If you get one on the front, you don't get
Right.
2 additional ones on the back. But
Right.
I don't, but of course. you
Yeah,
don't
that was probably, there
bracket, you don't
were, I
different,
think
so.
there was one team that got moved up into a different division. So, and that bracket was drawn and up for a couple days.
Yeah.
Right. So that could cause that kind of thing. So you
Okay.
pull a team out and that could happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, without actually looking, that's probably the best explanation, or probably the correct explanation, without actually going and looking and seeing what actually happened.
Okay. Well, thank you.
What was the team name, Sean?
My team name of mine was Bad Influences.
What was it?
Look at that.
Platinum. Bad Influences of Platinum.
Yeah, that's platinum. I gotta get it back up on my screen now. Okay.
I'm more towards the bottom if I remember right. Yeah.
Usually put bad influences at the back. Okay.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
All right. So here's your first match. Now y'all
Yeah.
can walk through it and just tell me what you need me to do.
Yeah, so I could play there, but then we lost. So we got 1 bye on the backside. That's on
Right.
the winner side.
Yeah, it went
And then
straight to the
and then
left.
we played again. But if you scroll up, now, you'll see like right here where it says bye and then bye again.
Right.
Yeah.
On there. So you got people that are playing each other, and then it's a bye, but so nobody moves over apparently. But so they end up having a bye on the front side now, and now 2 buys on the back side. So
Right.
they're 3 out already. And we got to
Well,
work 2 matches just
go
to be
go
playoff.
back to that, Cody, where it had the bye.
He's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so
See, there's a bye and then another bye
Right,
right,
but
there.
click-
That
click
pulls
on
them
the
2 more
X,
rounds
Toby.
past us,
Oh, what?
click
or
on
1 more
the
round
X,
past us
where,
even.
hold on, where the X is by Captain Rod and what?
Yeah.
Click on
Yeah.
that X.
That's gonna go from loser 2-7.
Right.
Be right here.
Yeah. See, they did not get a bye.
But the Hammer Time did.
Hammer Time got a bye. Yeah.
Hammer Time got a bye. So if they would have lost, Hammer Time would have lost. They would have flew all the way out here and then had another bye right there.
Right, and it's exactly the reason. Yeah, it's exactly the reason. And look at all the buys up the middle. Right. It's because your bracket size.
Oh no, I know. Yeah, I know that,
Yeah.
but I've just never, even with my bracket size, I mean, I have never ran into it myself to where, it's been 1 bye for one team and then 3 buys for other teams.
Right.
I've never ran into that to myself. How you doing it? But I'm not
Yeah.
running a 65 at,
Yeah, I mean, if you run
65
through
teams
this,
on a
it
128
was
board either. So
right. If you run through this, it was probably a possibility like 4 or 5 times, and it's
yeah,
just,
it did. It happened a few times. It happened a few times where
Right.
the team
Let me just reiterate that he's only pissed that he got 0 of those buys.
What?
he
I
used
did
all
what?
his luck up a couple months ago.
I lost my buy.
You used your luck up when you picked your woman, dude. Just get over it.
Exactly.
Just get over it.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Kobe.
Nick, you're up. You're welcome. Thank you.
Rick.
Yeah.
Team events started on Thursday with silver and gold.
Yeah.
There was a few teams in the silver and gold that got put out the first night.
Yeah.
Is there anything to be done about that? Because those guys, they drive a long ways and they're out on Thursday. They get a bad taste in their mouth.
It's tough. I mean, because
That was brutal.
Okay, so it would be easier if we could start all the teams on the same day. But here's the problem. So we suggested that prior or before, not prior to this event, but 4 or 5 years ago. If you let us start all the teams on Thursday, we can make sure that nobody is eliminated the first day. But the problem is I cannot make sure that everybody will play on the first day. If you get a bye, you're not going to play. If I'm not starting until 5, I can't even play all the possible matches that would play in that first round on the first day.
Right, but we
Not
would be
enough
able to get the bracket information out sooner, wouldn't we? So they would know that they wouldn't be playing that day, right?
Well, that would be, yeah, this is the first time, thank you to Tammy,
Tracy.
that we got all the
Oh.
information early enough that we could do the draw and get the stuff done earlier. The other problem is you guys have team check-in at the event. I wish you guys would just go, look, you need to put subs on your team and have enough and be done with it. Because what happens is for us to, and we're trying to come up with a solution, but for us to do the draw right now for teams and then change a bunch of players on the teams, we have to take that team off of the bracket, then make all the changes, then put the team back on the bracket. And you guys, when I don't know, maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but was it the day before when you stopped the team sign-ins?
Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Wednesday at 3 p.m. and there was 53 changes. That's a lot of changes to try to get in while we're running the tournament and get get everything up and but we have to do that before the brackets go up because it just complicates everything. But we're trying to get that problem fixed through our programmers. The reason they do that is because they don't want names accidentally bumped on a team and there's some other technical stuff I absolutely know nothing about. But they're trying to fix that so I could just do the draw with the team names and then put the players in later. But they haven't come up with that solution yet. But yeah, I would love to be able to get the draws done, get them up several days before so people didn't, have to come if they didn't play on that Thursday night. But that's the only way we could do the teams and not eliminate anybody on the first night.
Jackson, you're up.
Rick, Rick, can you just take a minute and talk about your process or maybe Colby is the right person for this, but can one of you guys talk about the process for starting and running minis, when you do it, why you do it at that point, so on and so forth?
A lot of it's hit or miss. We look at the match calendar to see when tables are projected to be available. And we usually try to wait till there's, 10 or 12 tables because a line forms rather quickly. But that's also projected. So if it shows we should have tables available around 3 o'clock, by the time I get there at 2 o'clock and matches have gone behind, now we're having to push that to 5, 6, or whenever tables actually become available. So that
we always try to keep a few tables for the tournament, right? So if the tournament's running behind, we try to keep 4 to 6 tables just for that. Because, some people play slow. And you just don't know how many will. So you try to we're pretty good at guessing. I think this time we had one match that we would have liked to have moved to a table that we had to wait until they were done across the hall because we had started minis, but it was just the one match.
Yeah.
So just to confirm, you're not starting minis if there's not available tables.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, where do people come up with these crazy ideas at a tournament? So like for the Thursday that we ran minis all day, we knew the teams weren't going to start till 5? I think it was 5. So we knew how many tables we'd have available that day, and we scheduled to run minis, and we stopped at 1 o'clock, Kobe?
1 or 2.
Usually stop taking signups around 10:30 or 11. That
Right,
way
because you had so
that
many.
lets the current matches play out and be done by 1.
But to address your question directly, no, we don't start minis until we have enough tables to start minis. Now, sometimes the line will be so long, we can only start about a third of the people that were in the line.
Right.
But we tell them you can either wait or we can put you on the list and be ready when we start calling the mini. But yeah, and if you ask all the mini players, we're not running near enough minis for them.
All right.
Well, and it's not because we don't want to, because we can't. So, Tracy's next, and you're muted.
Did that answer everything you needed, Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, so sorry we were late. We were coming back from Seattle. We probably passed Nikki on the way. I don't know if we've gone over it, and actually I forgot my question. So Sean, do you remember what we were talking about with Rick? Never mind, we'll just come back to it.
There's going to be some interesting stuff now.
I know. I'm sorry.
All
All
right.
right, next.
Nobody else has their hand up.
I was hoping for some tough questions.
It's been pretty calm. I really want to bring this up, but I really don't want to because it pisses me off so much. I really don't want to start that. But how about you address Dwayne Payne's little statement in their meeting, because it was nothing but
Yeah. Oh, well, the meeting that we didn't go to because we didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah, what he said in that meeting was 100% lies. The only thing he said right in that meeting was that he needed to go.
Okay, before you
I'll
get
just leave it
into
at that.
Rick, before you get into that, this is Tracy again.
Okay.
What I was gonna say earlier is, so if we could get rid of, because I know that team check-in thing is totally ridiculous, because I know that later on that Wednesday evening, whoever was doing the check-in was actually like tagging people on Facebook saying, hey, your team isn't checked in, which I think is babysitting grown-ass adults. Sorry, but I don't think we should have to wait for that if that's what's holding up our tournament draws. I don't know if you were aware that that was actually going on Facebook at like 6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so I know that the BCA Pool League always had the team check-in, and I know they make tons of changes. But in Texas, we quit doing the team check-in because it's a major pain in the butt when you're trying to do a tournament, right? And what we did was we told people, look, have a couple of subs on your team. If you need them, use them. But, doing the team check-in at a tournament was just, it's so nightmare. I got it, Tammy does a phenomenal job. I would shoot myself. I had no way. But yeah, I mean, if there was no need for the team check-in, we could have the team brackets up the same time we put up the singles. It's just, we hate it because then we have to work on the draw while we're trying to, and usually it's like, Kobe's got a ton of minis going. We're getting down to, really important matches in the singles, and we're trying to shuffle that, and everybody wants something. There's a million questions, and then we're trying to do the draw at the same time. And it would be nice if we didn't have to, but that's a big jump going from, hey, we can check in, and we've always been able to check in, to, yeah, no, you can't really change all these players.
Well,
I think that's why CSI started charging for the changes, is to try to either get paid good for it or get people to quit doing it.
That's what I was kind of going for, is that if we could do it sooner, since Wednesday night was before, not even 24 hours before teams were even started.
Right.
So, and I had teams that I just felt so bad for that hadn't been back to play since before COVID, and they literally played at the 7 o'clock or the 5 o'clock match and the 7 o'clock match, and they were done.
Right.
And I was just devastated.
I agree 100%. I hate doing that.
And also, has it always been that you have to use your same team for the second chance? Because they couldn't even get into the second chance tournament because their highest rated player threw a hissy fit, which I understand absolutely, right. And he left.
So the always being the same team came into effect with Fargo. And the reason it came into effect with Fargo is there's no way for us to be able to. So when you do teams, I have to put every player into the system, right? Because one reason is because then if a player wants to know when they play, they can look up their team by their name, right? They can find themselves by their name. And then it also, when we go back, or whoever goes back to do the data, they can see who's all on that team when they go to do the data for Fargo. So that started with Fargo. Because there's just not enough time when you're doing second chance to do signups till 1 o'clock, and then you got to do the draw by 3. That's a lot of work to try to type into the system and put all those names in there and make sure they're with the team and all
Right,
that.
I understand.
My suggestion would be, you know, the BCA Nationals always just dropped one player. Not saying you have to drop that player, but instead of playing a 4-man team or a 5-man team, they drop it down to a 3-man team format. That way they could play if one of the players leaves. It would make it.
But we're only playing 4-man teams.
Right, but I mean, if it's a 4-man team, then you drop it down to 3 players, right?
Oh, okay, I see what you're getting.
Today we drove out to where my programmer is and we had long conversations about stuff, and we're trying to come up with a faster way to put that information in. But yeah, I mean, if you're changing players at the last minute, it makes it really, really tough to get all that, because like I said, we have to put the names in before the brackets are set up, or we have to pull the whole team off of the bracket, do the change, put it back on the bracket, which is way too many clicks for what we got to do. So we're trying to find a better way to do that.
Yeah, I get it now. I just didn't understand, but I thank you so much for your explanation. That makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Amber Davis, you had your hand up and took it away. Did you have a question or?
No, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. I think you guys done a great job, and I think this was awesome to take your time on a Friday night to answer questions.
We're old. We don't do anything on Fridays anymore.
Thanks to
Speak for yourself, man.
Thanks to everybody else for being pretty civil so far. Vic, you're up.
That's
Hey,
well,
Sam's not here.
actually, this is Tammy. So I just wanted, I know Tracy was asking about the team check-in. Honestly, I would love to not have to have a team check-in, but realistically, you would be surprised that, oh, the car broke down, or this happened, or now they're sick and they can't make it, or whatever. That there's a number of like a single player that had to be removed and another one added in that place. So
Tammy, can I ask you a question, Tammy?
Yeah, and go ahead.
So when you make the changes, I didn't look at the changes this time, but when you make these changes, how many changes per team are there? Like in most time, isn't it just one player or maybe 2?
One, maybe 2. I think there was like a team name change because for whatever reason.
I think they should.
And then I think there was only one that had to move, I believe, like silver to gold or bronze to silver or something like that. But we were able, I know working with Kenny, he had a buy or a TBA to be able to throw it in there. So it worked great.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, if it's only going to be one player or even 2, I mean, is it really that hard to ask people to, hey, put some extra subs on in case something happens?
Well, okay, so for the most part, you know, there's a good handful of them that always do put on a sub. Emails that I had to email back to people explaining to them that I'm sorry, you're either going to have to move up to the next bracket. And this is prior to even sending it to you guys.
Right.
You'll have to either move up to the next bracket because it has to be the top 4 rated Fargo rates, highest rated Fargo rates, and then the lowest one is the one that would be the sub. That way you don't have an opponent having to add up every time there's a change in the roster, and now they're over freaking cap that round. So to eliminate that issue, you know, there was a couple people that argued with me back and forth on email, but bottom line, it eliminates those other issues. As far as team check-in, though, I want to say we started on Wednesday. I see that I sent the email to Bad Boys at like 7:23 with all the changes that I had. That was everything. All teams checked in. There was gonna only be possibly one other change. And usually in the past, I know like when Darcy and I have checked in teams, it's been Wednesday and Thursday, both days. And I remember
Yeah, we know.
giving changes to Rick like an hour before the event those teams are supposed to start. So
Yep.
this was like at least a whole day prior to the event starting.
Right.
The whole texting and emailing is fantastic now because that whole in-person thing was horrible.
Yeah. Well, and it worked, and we were trying to get back to everybody as I went through them, and then there was duplicates and triplicates and all that kind of stuff, but we finally got a response back to everyone. So, but yeah. Anyways, I just
wouldn't it
wanted
be
to
nice though? Wouldn't it be nice though if they could do their check-in like the weekend before and we could get the brackets up Monday or Tuesday? That's
yeah,
my dream
okay.
world.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So
glad everybody was
Any-
muted because they're all still laughing.
Well, any
Yeah.
change after the first, like if you did team check-in the first weekend, right, for 8-ball, let's say, and you said you have to do your team check-in by Sunday night, anything after that, you better have a sub. I mean, yeah, you could make exceptions for the really good story, but man, it would be so nice for the players if you could get the brackets up 5-6 days prior. I mean, some people could cancel the Thursday night hotel room if they weren't going to be there, or I don't know. For me, I just love to know when I'm going to play. When we went, we used to go to nationals, and I started playing BCA Pool League in 1988. And we used to love to get there, and we'd run to the brackets, and we'd always get there 2-3 days early, and we'd run to the brackets and go, oh, I play here and play there. When they became electronic brackets, oh my God, that was so nice. Like I could know before I got on my airplane. That was awesome. And I would love to not hear when are the brackets going to go up.
I don't think that'll ever go away.
Someday.
But you don't like all of our memes?
Someday. I know I got to find sponsors so I can give an award away for the best meme.
Talk to Mike D. He has a sponsorship.
Yeah, that's my sponsorship monkey right there.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
We're both Mike D sponsors, by the way.
Right. You won't make it to Derby City, but you know what? I'll get an award for the best meme. Sorry, Mike D. Priorities.
Yeah. Just so there's no misunderstanding, Mike D's our bitch.
Was there a question?
Nope, just clarifying.
Pretty sure he's a lot of people's bitches right now, Sean says. Love you, Mikey D.
Who's
he acts like
so
he
everybody's
can't hear us.
clear on where I stand.
Yeah, real
Come
quiet.
Come on, you guys. Come with something.
How's your weather out there?
Really? Nobody's
I have
got
no
nothing?
idea.
Nothing at all? Come on, Izzy. I know you got something in the goodie bag.
Well, I got something to say.
All right.
But it's not that much, really. It came up a long time ago, but it just seems like the rules, the slow play, the timers, all of that should be in the rules. And we're all adults. I mean, everybody should know where the rules are. You shouldn't have to babysit and hold everybody's hand and tell them where to go. And I mean, I guess you have to, but
Linda, listen,
no.
Linda.
I mean,
Listen.
like when you prepare for a tournament, you pack the right clothing for the dress code, you come prepared. And I mean, that's my reality. I don't know. It's just weird to have to
It is, isn't it? It is.
Keep preaching. This is going on Facebook tomorrow.
Oh, they know my stance.
I'm with you, Linda. I totally agree. I don't understand how people can show up at a tournament, don't know the rules. I don't understand.
They don't know this.
Well, apparently, I mean, if referees are telling people that both players have to agree to be on a clock, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
I
even
never heard that
know
one.
what to say about that one.
That blew my mind.
And I've heard it by like 20 different people.
Mm. Well, sounds like the refs need some reffing.
We just need to not use CSI refs.
No comment. What you got, Izzy?
I really don't have anything more, really, Rick, to add other than, really we need a committee formed, as far as I'm concerned, as soon as possible, so that way we can come with a plan, whether we're going to deal with it at home bars or not, or we're just going to deal with the problem at the coast and how we're going to deal with it, and making sure that the word gets out to all of our members who go to the coast, what exactly is going to take place from this point on. I mean, we can all throw as many ideas as we want when it comes to slow playing, but until that committee decides to get formed and until they come to a decision, who knows if they'll come to a
Where's the
decision
tournament this week?
before October.
So
So
Jackson, Lawrence, and Nikki and Julie, what is the rules on being on a committee? Do you have to be a player rep, a member at large, a league player? To get on a committee?
You have to be a member of Western BCA. The committees are likely going to be limited due to the fact that it is extremely difficult to coordinate with everybody. So, if somebody, we've had this situation happen a couple of times and we've had people get upset, right? But, the ideal committee size, believe it or not, we've done the research, is 5 to 7 people. Right. That's that's the size in which you can actually coordinate and communicate to get things figured out. So, I think some of us are exploring more of that and trying to understand what's better, because we tend to have a lot of people that want to be part of something, or contrary to popular belief, they want to be part of something and then they realize how much effort it actually takes, and then they don't want to be part of something anymore.
Right.
There's a lot of things like that, but just so everybody's aware, the committees, we're not going to create the committee until after the next meeting, right? That is part of
who's in charge first,
right? That is part of the president's responsibility, is to create a committee.
So the reason I'm asking is because I think I'm understanding that the only way I could be on a committee is if I was a member at large. Is that correct?
That is correct, because you're not a Western BCA member.
So what do I got to do to become a member at large?
You would have to put your name in the hat at the next meeting.
Do I
Submit
have
a
to
resume.
You don't know my resume, Lawrence?
You don't
Good Lord.
You don't technically have to have a resume, but it helps. Everybody knows who you are. You would just send me an email to secretary, or tell me right now, and then you would be put on the ballot.
Okay, Julie, right now, officially, I'd like to be a member at large so I can be on a committee or two, because it sounds like fun.
Okay.
And
Oh my God, I want to see his
does it?
resume. Make him do a resume. I want to
So
see what lies are in his resume.
Careful what you say, what you think is fun, for one.
Yeah.
But to what Lawrence said, it would help if you had a resume, right? Because
I can write a resume.
It just gives that visual to people, and
Or
they're
at
going to
least a
associate
letter.
Rick Jones, right? I mean,
A letter of intent explaining why you want to be a member at large.
I like that idea.
yes.
Who all
Oh,
gets
come
to see
on.
those
Vince Van
letters?
Winkle got member at large at the last election. It's not that hard.
What'd you say, Kobe?
Who all gets to see those letters of why they want to be members at large? Is that
The
public
voting
info
membership.
or?
The voting membership, and I think they're also publishing them on the website as soon as they're made.
As long as I'm getting permission from each player to put them on the website, because I don't know that that was really clear. So I'm asking everyone that sends me a resume if they want it on the website.
I would think that would have to be public knowledge if we're voting on them, right?
Right. Well, I mean, they all go out to the membership with the meeting notice. Everything that I have will go out to the membership.
Oh, you're talking about to the public at large. Oh, okay.
The website, yeah.
Dave's arms are getting tired. You're up, Dave. You're muted.
Dude.
Unmute before your mouth gets tired.
How about that?
There you
Can you
go.
hear me?
Now we can hear you.
All right. I got a statement and then a question, and I'm just gonna play devil's advocate on Izzy's idea about speeding up play at the bar or the pool room that we all play in. Obviously I'm a prison guard, for hell's sake. I don't own a business, but I try to look at it. If I owned a business, if I owned a pool hall and y'all come into my place and we were playing league or whatever, frankly, I'm going to be pissed if you're out of there in 2 hours because you're done playing league. I mean, I want you in there all night spending money and buying stuff from me. Number one. So that's just me. I mean, looking at it from, and obviously I'm just playing devil's advocate because, you know, when I go to the pool hall to play or I'm in Lincoln City to play, I just expect it's an all day, all night thing. And that's just my mentality. So that's just devil's advocate to that. And the question I have is Julie on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, did you get my email?
Yes, I sent you an email back and I just texted you too.
Oh, okay. I haven't looked at none of that. So I was just curious.
While I have you, do you want your email? Do you want your stuff put on the website? Because that was my email.
With me doing what I do for a living, I would say no. If you're all right with that, if you need to, then throw it on.
No, it doesn't have to. It goes out to everybody in the membership will see it. It's totally up to you.
Okay. Yeah, just send it out that way just because
It's not.
I work in the prison and I don't want that out.
Yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
If that's all right. Okay, I'm done. I ain't got any more, Rick.
Tracy. You're still muted.
Yeah,
Dave.
sorry. So I think with Izzy, I think with the committee that you're talking about, I think that's something that maybe not like Western BC, but yes, if we could like all get together or like do our own little maybe private committee first, and then when we get some answers, Izzy, maybe then we can bring it to the board. Do you see what I'm saying? You've been going around and around for years and not getting any traction. And I'm thinking maybe if instead of like doing a Sean, what am I trying to say?
Just
An
do your
actual-
own external committee. Just do your
Exactly,
own
and then
external committee.
Right. And then when we get some more like some numbers and stuff like that, then we could take it to. Does that sound fair, Izzy? I would absolutely love to help you out with this problem.
Sean, what is she trying to say?
Shut up, Rick.
I've been trying to bring this problem for years to Western BCA's attention. I have. I can't remember what year it was, but I know quite a few years ago, I was told at one of the meetings when we used to have it in Vancouver at that one pizza place that
Hi, Piper.
The problem was dealt with. That was the answer I got. But 2 years later, we still had the same problem. So, but again, I'm not sure if the board would be okay with, technically, I guess the best way, having little committees throughout, different regions coming up with ideas and then finally pulling together all those ideas to one more unified committee where we're getting ideas not just from like 7 people, but more or less from our members, and it's all coming together and we're all working together. I'm all for that.
I would question why you think the board would have a problem with that.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Because
Only reason-
I'm telling you, we got plenty of stuff to deal with. So
Well, I want to say the reason I don't know if the board would have a problem with that because I don't know if it's under policy and procedures and like I said previously through 2008, 2009, I've been bringing this problem up for many, many years to the board, and here we are, 2024, and we're still dealing with the problem.
Right, I get that. And I think that what I'm trying to get at is maybe like if we get some like data behind it, like I think a lot was brought out in the open watching that match of Chris Robbins and Victor. I think that whole 6 or 7 or 9 hour, believe me, I watched it, match opened up a lot of people's eyes and saw that when she was asking, or let's just say when a player asked to be put on the shot clock, a lot of cracks were actually exposed because of that match. So before we get ahead of ourselves and start throwing things, because the new regime, something is going to change next month. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's going to be that. So maybe if like you and I and like my girl Michelle or somebody, if we talk first, get some numbers, get a little bit more in depth with it, work with Rick and stuff, and then we go and we try to say, hey, now this is what we want to do. Now we want to officially get a committee with Western BCA's blessing to research this more. This is what we want to do. This is our intent. Does that sound like something we could do?
Yeah, and that's exactly before I got onto the meeting. That's exactly what I was asking of Nikki. Is I was asking for her, trying to figure out who do I go to for the data, because when it comes to, because again, it was very surprising to me how some players really felt like leave slow playing the way it is at home bars, don't touch it, only deal with it at the coast. I don't agree with that, but for some reason, some players, they don't want to address the issue with slow playing at home bars, but putting that to the side, that's why I asked Nikki earlier today. I was like, I'm looking for some data. The data I'm actually looking for is out of 4 years, specifically 2019, 2018, 22, and 23. How many Western BCA members are there for each of those years? And out of all of those members that we have for those 4 years, how many went to the coast for 8 ball and how many went to the coast for 9 ball? Because, like, again, I had 2 or 3 people that literally said, well, you shouldn't be dealing with slow playing at home bars, considering that only a small fraction of our members go to the coast.
Well, I think that's the issue that I had with it. Not an issue. I wanted to, when I clarified in my response to you when you asked it, I said I'm a league operator. So my husband and I are league operators down in Salem. We play on we play against our teams and everything else. I particularly am not going. I haven't had an issue with slow playing in my league per se, because our league is ran differently. We don't pay anybody for like first, second. It's not a prize thing. So everybody gets paid the same amount per ball. That being said, I see that your question is legit. Absolutely. But I just didn't want you to think that I was, wish-washing your thing by not saying that I would not do that in my league. I have a different league. But I see exactly what you're saying. And I know that we could get the data together, but I think it's something that maybe you and I need to get together beforehand, or I'll give you my information and you tell me what we need to get. And I'm on it. Like, we can get some stuff together and we can actually try to fix this and not have you go round and round and round in circles like I see that you've been doing.
Well, I know what I've been doing lately, and I'm just following the directions that, like, as I stated in that post I did, that I'm only doing exactly what was asked of me. First I had to put it on the agenda. I let it slip 1 month, and then the next month I brought it up, and then Darren wanted me to post something on Western BCA to get more people involved, to see what other ideas are out there to address the problem. And once we have enough ideas, then those ideas are supposed to be brought to the committee. Now, as it was already stated, the committee is not going to be formed until after the next our next meeting. So to me, that this is what's more important, including this video, that this Zoom meeting we're doing right now. I mean, there's a lot of good information that's being coming through, which is great. And I just hope that hopefully, I mean, hopefully I'm on the committee, but more or less, I'm just hoping that we can come
It's going to
to
be called the Izzy Committee.
I'm just hoping that we can come to a solution to this problem before October, so that way everyone knows well in advance exactly what's taking place. Get our referees in a loop, do what we have to back them up, or as I stated, as somebody else stated, we need to have clock watchers, not necessarily use up our referees to be a stopwatch, but actually have the referees enforce it. And when they decide, okay, this match needs a clock on it, and then we have volunteers that are just going to be there for that specifically. But then it was also decided by somebody else that you can't have anybody just be a clock watcher. Somebody mentioned it has to be tournament board members only that are allowed to be clock watchers. Don't know.
What?
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't knows that that when it comes to how it's actually going to be enforced at the coast. But I mean, we all know the rules. They're clearly listed in in the book what the rules are for slow playing. It's just a matter, as Rick has said multiple times, it's just got to be enforced, and we got to do something with the refs to let them know these are the rules. We need you to enforce them.
So is
But
that
I'm
something
all-
you and I could?
Go ahead.
Do you think that's something that like you and I could get together, like after May, like May 7th, because I know it's going to take us like a couple days to decompress from the meeting, and we could get like Nikki or whoever you want, like we can go and we can just not officially like forming a committee, but like we can talk and banter back and forth with each other and figure out what we need to do, and then we can go and we can write it all before October. That sound like a plan?
I was actually hoping, like I said, I usually talk to Nikki or Julie. I know initially back in October last year, I was talking to Stephen Weekly about it. And then possibly either Lawrence or Jackson, somebody on the board to me, there are a lot of things that I don't know, especially because I know somebody mentioned about how to deal with slow playing at the home bars, and somebody mentioned about, well, if they're going too slow, there goes that rack. They just got a 0. And I'm just like, well, you can't do that. The Fargo system doesn't let you do that. So
right. So it seems like what answers we need to ask more than some of all of us. So I think that's definitely something that I'm going to send you a Facebook message right now, and we'll keep on like direct messaging each other and like just like start throwing things out. Like I want to know, like I know that I heard that the clock watchers have to be trained on like when to set the hit the button, which I thought was funny until I realized, oh yeah, that's right. The ball stop. Is it when they get away from the table, or is it when the ball stops? But I definitely think that this is something that we do need to discuss, Izzy. But I think it's something that we need to shine off the rough edges first, and then bring it to the board and say, look, this is what we need to do. We need to have an Izzy board.
I'm totally for that.
How does that sound? All right, I'm sending you a DM right now.
I got a suggestion real quick. I think we're slow playing the slow play conversation.
Right?
I got a suggestion. Fire your head ref because he's not doing his job, and the word will spread. And get a new head ref in there. The rules are the rules, and that's what we're saying. Then clearly we need somebody to enforce them. That's the whole point of being the ref. You're the one to
I think
enforce
that's
the
going to
rules.
come at. We'll see what's going on next month. I don't want to get too far into it ahead of. We have a lot of things that are coming up next month. So, one foot at a time, Colby.
To answer, I know on the live chat, Vic Albertson asked me, do I think I slow play? No, I don't. I know I don't slow play. In fact, a lot of people say I have my shots fast. There are some videos on YouTube. I can post them on the official or unofficial Western BCA page, and you can watch me shoot. I'll tell you what time to
No,
go.
that's not fair, Izzy, because you know you'll be on the clock then. You'll play quicker.
I'm always
We gotta-
on the
we gotta
clock.
sneak up on you.
Look,
I
okay.
consider myself to be on the clock whether I'm on the clock or not.
Do you know who's super,
hold on.
super slow is Sean. Sean Self is the slowest player I've ever seen.
Okay, hey.
Okay, I just got a message from the dead horse that we've been kicking.
Because we know we're gonna have these conversations and we can put the group together.
Yep.
And I don't know about you guys, but it's 11 o'clock here in Indiana. So you guys got any more questions or anything?
I
or-
appreciate everything that you're doing, Rick, and everybody else who's come in. I'm sorry that we were late.
Oh no, that's
But-
all right. It's just you know.
I
my
think
family's
we should
already
plan on
eating
doing
dinner.
this
Now
a
they're
lot
laughing
more.
at me.
Well, yeah, I think we should plan on doing this a lot more. I think this is very valuable for all of us. To talk to somebody that's actually, you know, running and has the knowledge and everything else of what we need to do, what we should be doing, and what is going on across the United States, in part of, you know, like how things are done. But I really appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate Colby and everybody else. And Cindy Medina, I want to say hi. I heard that you are one of our newest reps. So hi, and welcome to the crazy, crazy, crazy thing of a voting member of Western BCA. But I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you all. Hey, butt crack, Dave Chavez. Butt crack.
Hey Izzy, your question on how many players actually go, I think is 15 to 25% of Western BCA players go to the regional event.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Is that just for last year? Because I was looking for 4 years, but I'm pretty sure
It's pretty consistent. I mean, it's, you know, obviously you can't weigh in, probably the last couple of events after COVID, the number's a little lower. And then because your dates are really crappy and the hotel and everything's a lot more expensive, but yeah, 15 to 25%, you're pretty right there.
Yeah, I know that our numbers since 2019 have been horrible because you figure my team hasn't even gone.
Yeah, that's why I didn't include years 2020 or 2021 in that.
Right.
Just
All
looking
right.
for hard numbers. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye bye.
But
Bye, thanks.
Anyone have anything else?
nobody else?
No, just want to say thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Hopefully I didn't offend anybody.
Everybody have a good night.
Thank you. Good
All right,
night.
you guys too.
Later.
Y'all have a good one. We'll do it again.